The Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show starts now on the Lorain County Sports Network, your home for high school sports. Tune in for the Coach's Corner presented by Buckeye Community Bank, where we speak to the coaches and get their thoughts on the season, this game, and their teams moving forward. Don't forget, immediately following the last play of the game, join us for the post-game scoreboard show presented by I-90 Nissan, featuring live interviews with players and coaches from around Lorain County. You can watch the postgame show live on Facebook at WOBL WDLW Sports. Tonight's games are brought to you by Lang Optical, Stewart's TV and Appliance, Buckeye Community Bank, Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services of Lorain County, Justin Miller, Esquire, Jamie's Carpet Shop, Lorain County Visitors Bureau, Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, Derek Hammonds of State Farm Insurance, Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson, Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros, Lorain County Community College, Jadasco Insurance, Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services, Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, E.H. Roberts Heating and Cooling, Achieve Credit Union, Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance, Ernie's Auto Body, Brian Victor of Howard Hanna, I-90 Nissan, Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, Al Januzzi CPA, Zabo Apparel Company, Valley Chevrolet, Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub, Network Land Title Agency, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lorain County, Rich Ramsey for Judge, Brian Baker for Lorain County Commissioner, Rich Resendez for Sheriff, Elyria Jewelers and Repair, Lorain County Commissioner David Moore, Jack Hall for Sheriff, Kelly Dieter for State Representative, and Giovanna Scarletta Bremke. After the break, we will talk to both of the coaches in tonight's matchup. Like, follow, and subscribe to Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. It's time for Lorain County's Friday Night Lights with WOBL and WDLW Sports.
Moving right along here on the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show, getting ready for kickoff tonight at Avon Lake at Benedictine. And it's time now for us to get back to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. And we are joined right now by Benedictine head coach Joe Prevost. And Coach, we certainly appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time. And let's start by talking about your win in the first week of the season. You guys were at home and you took care of business against Canton South. Just some of your major takeaways from what you saw from your perspective in a game that you guys thoroughly dominated from start to finish.
Yeah, we definitely came out, on fire offensively. We got the opening kickoff, went right down the field and scored, and then defense got a 3-and-out. We got the ball right back and, put together another drive and scored again. So we jumped out on top 12-0, and then we kicked off, and they fumbled. And, we recovered, and a couple plays later we were up 19-0. In a blink of an eye. So we were energized, we were ready to go, and our guys were definitely excited.
Now, this is the second year at the helm for you. 4 wins last season. That was after a winless season after you took over. So clearly this program's headed in the right direction. You guys are taking those steps, and you're continuing to grow. Coach, in your mind, how pleased are you with that process as you guys have continued to improve over the last couple of years?
After we lost to Hudson in the playoffs, we told our guys that it was going to be the hardest offseason they ever encountered. And, we put them through it. And right before we started camp in August, we had 2 boot camp days to really get them mentally challenged and ready to go there. and they accepted it, and they pulled through on those 2 days. So, this offseason was great. Our goal was bigger, stronger, faster, and I know everyone talks about it, but our guys definitely did that and bought in, and we had a tremendous offseason.
Maybe it's too early in the season to pose this question, but, here we are, week 2. There are some teams that are still searching for that identity, but if you were to say that your team's going to hang your hat on one particular thing to kind of establish that as their identity, what would you say that identity is?
I always like to be balanced, take what the defense gives us. If they give us a weak box, then we'll run the ball. And if they stack the box, then we're not afraid to throw it. We got great perimeter guys on the outside, and we got a great running back in Chris Maloney, along with some other guys, and Jameer Church. And, so we're not afraid to. We definitely want to be balanced, and we'll take what they give us. You mentioned being balanced and taking what the defense gives you. You alluded to that running game. Let's talk about your quarterback, Matthew first. 6 feet tall, 210 pounds, is a good-sized junior. What are some things that make him so effective running your offense? He's got 11 games under his belt coming in. He had the experience, and he knows the offense really well. But he's still growing at the position as well. So, we try to keep things minimal with him at times, but eventually he's got to understand that we got to open it up, and we trust them, and the receivers trust them, and our offensive line gave him great protection this past week. So, everything worked out well. Let's examine the other side of the ball, because watching your game against Canton South last week, it certainly looked like you guys set the tone early on. You've got a pretty special front seven for sure. I want to focus on one guy in particular, Tyrell O'Neal. That's a good-sized kid at 6'3", 275. Seemed very explosive in your win last week. What makes him such a special player? When you talk about the front seven, that's where we hang our hat. We got to stop the run. We're going to have to do it again this week against a physical Avon Lake team. But Tyrell, yes, he's, like you said, 6'3", about 275, but he's really athletic, and he gets after it, and he's strong. So we're really excited about him. Well, that leads us into our final question. You're taking on Avon Lake tonight, a team that's certainly hitting on all cylinders after their win over Strongsville last week, a team that is always a powerhouse, Division II, Region 6. What are some things that Shoremen do really well that concerns you a bit going into tonight's game? Well, we know that they got a big offensive line, and sometimes they even add an extra offensive lineman and bring in 6 guys. But they're explosive out on the perimeter as well with number 1 and 17, and their quarterback can get out there and run the ball as well. So we got our hands full, but we're going to be up for the challenge. We had a great week of practice, and we're going to be ready to go Friday night. Great stuff. Well, Coach Prebesk, we certainly appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time, and we wish you the best of luck against Avon Lake tonight. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you, Coach. Again, that's Benedictine head coach Joe Prebesk joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner today and tomorrow. Your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We'll step aside and take a timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Cruising along here on the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show, getting you ready for kickoff tonight between Avon Lake and Benedictine. Time now for us to get back to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth. And we're joined by Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik. Coach, appreciate the time as always. And let's begin by reflecting on what you guys did a week ago against Strongsville. Came out on top, 21-12 win over a Strongsville team that certainly is pretty tough. That's a Division I opponent you guys are playing up there. Just some general thoughts from you about how your team performed in that Week 1 win.
Well, first and foremost, Coach Chesnick coming out and putting together, I thought, a great product for Week 1, it being his first time. And I think at some point they're going to put it together, and they're going to be a pretty good team. They're pretty physical up front. So what I was happy to see about us is we came out and also played physical and played really, really good defense and from start to finish of the game, other than we had one hiccup for a long run and then another hiccup at the end. But for the most part, we stayed steady. We moved the ball well. We only punted one time, but for only punting one time and only coming away with 21 points is not what it's going to take to win in our conference. You got to put 30 points up on the board week in and week out. So my challenge to the guys this week is to clean those silly little things up. And when we get inside the 50, it's got to be score score. So that's what I want to see most out of it. But I'm proud of our guys for moving the ball, moving the chains effectively. Let's say only punting once is a great feeling, but only coming away with 21 points is not a great feeling. So happy to get away with the win, but I want to see us come out better against Benny tonight.
I was going to say the defense for later in the conversation, but you mentioned it, so I have to bring it back up again because your teams are always very, very stout, very tough defensively. What is it about this year's group that makes you pretty confident going into a game like this tonight against Benedictine?
I tell you what, our ability to run to the football. We replaced. We only had one guy out there returning starter from last year's team, and so replacing your whole front seven can be scary and can be daunting. But these kids fight and they fight and they fight. And our interior tackles, Mitch and Caleb, they've taken our practices to a whole nother level on what they're able to do. And as long as they can continue to do that and our backers are rallying the ball and staying square, we should find some success this year.
I want to talk about this passing attack of yours. You have a lot of senior leadership in that wide receiver group. Of course, you have a senior signal caller as well, and Alex Falter as well. Tell me about this passing attack. I mean, how confident are you in them going into tonight, and how good can they be?
I'll tell you what, if we relax, we missed 2 wide open throws on fourth downs this past, where one was on third down, one was on fourth down. And so Alex's reads, man, we're feeling good about where he's at. Because that stuff's, he's going to clean that up. I'm not too worried about that stuff. So, and with the wide receiver core that we have, it makes a lot of fun. So I got all the confidence in the world in our receivers. I coach the wide receivers, so I'll tilt them up a little bit. But, where Alex is at right now and where we think he's going to be at the end of the year, we feel fantastic about him and what he's able to do.
I want to focus on that group up front. You had mentioned that you guys lost a lot on the defensive front from last year, but certainly in that first week, you guys looked really good up there. Tell me about that on both sides of the ball. How good are you guys in the trenches? And I guess the same question as I had with the wide receivers, how good do you think you can be up there?
Well, I think we're right about like 7 deep on the defensive line, and we run about 8 or 9 deep on the offensive line. And so really our season's going to come down to where they can take us. We have the athletes, but that doesn't mean anything if you can't establish a run and you can't stop the run in our conference, in the playoffs, none of that. And so right now it's about them developing as one unit and continuing to come off the ball. I thought we had a really good game against Strongsville on both sides of the ball. But I want to be great, and I want to be great by the time we roll into our conference, because Benny is a great opponent. Chardon's an extreme opponent. So we're going to be tested over the next 2 weeks, and we'll have a good idea of where we're at and where we need to get to in order to start SWC play.
That leads me right into the final question. Of course, taking on the Benedictine Bengals tonight, a team that's starting to get a little bit better. They won last week, winless a couple of years ago before getting a few last year. What are some things that the Bengals do that kind of concern you going into tonight's game?
Well, I love their front six, man. They're fun to watch. They're physical. They're quick. So for us, it's got to be hat on our offensive line. We've got to get bodies in front of their front six. We do that. We'll chunk out some yards. We'll make some plays. We'll set up the pass because I feel confident with our receivers against their secondary. Flipping on the other side of the ball, their tailback, we got to bottle him up. Kid's good. He is an impressive player. He's fun to watch as a high school coach. It's great to see a kid like that. But so for us, it's getting hats on him and getting the quarterback rattled. We're seeing an entirely different kid at quarterback this year than he was last year. Last year he was rattled. He couldn't get the offense settled. This year he is as calm as a cucumber. He relaxes, gets the ball out on time. And his receivers find a way to get open. So for us, we got to force him to be one-dimensional, make him beat us with his arm. And if we force him in that situation, I feel confident that we'll come out a winner.
Great stuff. Well, Coach Kostelnik, we appreciate the time as always, and best of luck tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We'll take a break and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome out to Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium for Week 2 in the high school football season here on the Lorain County Sports Network. So happy to have you dialed in as tonight the Shoremen have their home opener as they play host to the Benedictine Bengals. Greetings, salutations, and welcome into the Lang Optical broadcast booth. Lang Optical, see the difference. Andy Bolbarch joined alongside the Four Horsemen. I've got Max Drummond providing the colorful analysis throughout the night. Edwin Vereen is the captain of our ship. He's the director. And Sam Sovacool running the camera. Lots to get into here on our Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show. Stewart's TV and Appliance, shop smart. Shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. Max, great to be joined by you as always. Coming into tonight's contest, both teams 1-0. Avon Lake, a win on the road over Strongsville last week, and Benedictine comes in with a victory at home last week against Canton South.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at in a Southwestern Conference stadium. These are a sight to behold, as we've got a great vantage point up here in the booth here at Avon Lake Memorial Stadium, and can't wait to get it going.
Well, we certainly got our workout in getting up here, no doubt about that. We found out just how good a shape that we are actually in coming all the way up here, but we've got it made up here. Just terrific field conditions, and I mean, should be a pretty awesome night. A little bit soupy compared to last week when we had temperatures in the 70s. We are well into the 80s with lots of humidity for this one, but we'll dive into that here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at our officials for tonight. The referee crew brought to you by Justin Miller Esquire, serving your legal needs. That's Justin Miller Esquire. Referee is Mark Lyric. The umpire is Derek Warren. Line judge Dale Dawson. The head linesman is Trent Martini. Back judge is Kyle Cotalupi, and the center judge is Michael Williams. Now we'll toss things over to Max as he gives us our keys to the game.
Well, you mentioned both teams coming in off of a Week 1 victory, and they have a lot to build on, especially for Benedictine coming in as the visiting team. They're building off of what was an upstart year last year where they were able to bounce back from 0 wins 2 years prior, and they showed off a lot in that first game against Canton South, winning 43-7. And what I learned from that is that they have a very balanced offense, especially for that early in the season, as they were able to show off a lot of different threats on offense, and not just with their position players, but also I think their play calling and their leader at quarterback, Matthew First, as he is going to be a major key in tonight's game, where they're going to have to run to set up the pass, and that's going to be a lot of First navigating through the offense. And I think this is one that applies to both teams, is limiting turnovers, as both teams came out positive in the turnover margin last week, and they both won the game. So I feel like there is one to do with the other there. And then for the hosting Shoremen, they obviously, their trademark, their calling card, their offensive line. They are big across the board, and they have multiple guys to choose from, not only in their starting 5, but off the bench. And we'll see them do formations with 6, sometimes maybe even 7. They're very confident in them, and I'm also very excited to see how they match up with the front 7 in the box for Benedictine. And that's going to do it for the keys to the game presented by Mental Health Addiction and Recovery Services Board of Lorain County.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. That's really the matchup, I think, that from our perspective is going to be a lot of fun to observe. How does the front 7, which, as you heard a little bit earlier on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner, you heard from Benedictine head coach Joe Prevesk. He said, look, we hang our hat on that front 7. I'm interested to see how they match up with that offensive line of Avon Lake. That'll be a lot of fun for us to follow throughout the course of the night. Something else that could play a bit of a role in this one are weather conditions. Brought to you by the Lorain County Clerk of Courts, Tom Orlando, a proud sponsor of high school athletics. That's the Lorain County Clerk of Courts, Tom Orlando. Well, it is very humid out there today. And we were down there a little while ago. It's actually a heck of a lot warmer down on the turf than it is up here in the press box. And it's not expected to turn the heat down a little bit until maybe after midnight tonight. Not only is it hot, but it is pretty swampy out there as well, Max.
You got that right. If you looked at me right now, you'd think I was out there on the field warming up with them. It's 84 degrees right now, and it'll probably get a little warmer as we get closer to kickoff here. And throughout the night, maybe when the sun goes down, we'll get some relief from this heat.
Well, let's take a look at our team captains on both sides, brought to you by Jamie's Carpet Shop. Shopping made simple, that's Jamie's Carpet Shop. The captains for Benedictine, Augie Rosalina, James Yane, Joseph Morse, and Chris Maloney. And the captains for Avon Lake, Max Riley, Nathan Haven, Owen Fatch, Jack O'Toole, Alex Afalter, and Anthony Benedict. Again, the captains brought to you by Jamie's Carpet Shop. Shopping made simple. Well, they did the coin toss just a few moments ago, and Benedictine won the toss. They will receive to kick things off here tonight. Coin toss brought to you by the Lorain County Visitors Bureau, celebrating 200 years together. That's the Lorain County Visitors Bureau. Well, Max, let's take a look at our injury update and report brought to you by Derek Hammonds of State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so far, so good for both teams. Pretty healthy going into week 2.
That's right. Very fortunate coming out of week 1 as, you know, you do some scrimmages, you do some previews to get everybody up to speed, but you never know how they'll react or how the players will handle fatigue.
Good evening, ladies and
looks
gentlemen.
like they've got that on
Avon
their
Lake
side
Memorial
at least heading
Stadium.
into week 2.
Besides
Yeah,
our
and look,
fireworks display
we all
happening after our
obviously
game
know
tonight,
cramping is going to be an
also
issue
our
here
youth
tonight. There's no
football
question
night.
about that
I'd like
because
to
as
start
hot as
off,
it is, as
by,
humid as it is,
giving a
you
big
know
round
for a
of
fact that
applause
you'll
for
see a
all of
lot of
our
kids
youth
go through
football
that. We saw that
coaches,
last week
youth
when it wasn't
volunteers,
nearly as bad.
everybody that,
But I think
makes
we'll probably
our
see a heck of a
Shoremen
lot more of that
football
here
program
tonight. Again,
the way
the
it is
injury
today.
report
So please
is
join me
brought
in
to you
giving
by
all of our
Derek
youth
Hammonds of
volunteers a
State
big
Farm
round of
Insurance.
applause.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. In just a few minutes, we will get to our starting lineups, but we also know that in just a few moments, they will have the national anthem as well. And the national anthem is brought to you by Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. That's Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. And again, the Avon Lake Band will have that for us here in just a few moments. But, I mean, this is a really cool day. They're letting a lot of the kids run out onto the field. Youth football day. One of the things you notice, Max, about Avon Lake, that no matter how big or how great a senior class is of theirs, they just find a way to reload every single year. One of the reasons for that, the strength of that youth program.
That's right. It keeps it developing, and they carry a lot of those same values up from the youth level to their high school program. So it's no shock that they have been able to sustain it for as long as they have here in the 21st century.
8th season for Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik, obviously an alumnus tier as well, being inducted into the Avon Lake Hall of Fame. When I caught up with him earlier this week, he said not only is he being inducted into the Avon Lake Hall of Fame, he's also going into the Mount Union Hall of Fame.
Please rise and remove your hats.
All right.
For the national anthem.
We have the national anthem coming your way, so we'll step aside and let the Avon Lake Band take over.
Marching Shoremen, conducted by marching band student teacher Ms. Lydia Logan.
An outstanding rendition of our Star-Spangled Banner by the Avon Lake Marching Band. And again, the national anthem brought to you by Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. We are just about 4 minutes away from the opening kickoff. So let's take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros, your trusted local auto repair and tire shop. That's Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros. First, we'll take a look at the Avon Lake offense. Wide receivers are number 1, Luke Stewie, a 6'2", 190-pound senior, a commit to Virginia Tech. Number 17, a 6'1", 176-pound junior, Aiden Stewart. He caught a dozen balls for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Also seeing some time at wide receiver will be number 14, Devin Deuce, 6'1", 165 senior, and number 9, Michael Summerfield, a 5'9", 147-pound junior. Up front, the offensive line, left tackle number 76, Maxwell Riley, a big fella at 6'5", 277. He's only a junior. Left guard, number 77, Jack O'Toole, 6'2", 256 senior. Another senior up front. The center, number 50, Timmy Kemmer, 6 feet tall, 245 pounds. The right guard is 6 feet tall, 262 pounds, also a senior, Corgan Lenkowski. And the right tackle, 6'4", 280-pound senior, number 72, Joe McNulty. The tight end, number 10, Owen Fatch, one of the seniors on this team, 6 feet, 186-pound senior. He caught a couple of balls last week. In the backfield, starting tailback, number 4, Anthony Benedict, 5'8", 170-pound senior. And the quarterback, number 2, a senior, 6 foot, 190, Alex Efalter. The kicking will be done in this game by Reese Polomsky, number 18, 6'1", 180-pound senior. That's the Avon Lake offense. I'll turn it over to Max, and he will take a look at this Benedictine defense.
That's right, as we will start up front with that defensive line. Sean O'Connell, 6 foot 210 junior, wears number 30. Then in the middle, Tyshawn Wilson, 6'2", 265 senior. And then probably a game wrecker out there on the other end, Tyrell O'Neal, 6'3", 275 junior, wearing number 9. Then the linebackers, we have Antonio Hobbs, who is at 5'8", 160 senior. You'll see him floating around the outside linebacker safety spot. Then James Yane III, 5'10", 215 senior, wearing number 2. Jameer Church, impact player on both sides of the ball, wearing number 6, 5'9", 195 senior. Also Tristan Wilson, number 21, a 5'8", 175-pound senior. And then in the secondary, where they have a lot of athletes, Joey Pomian, number 8, 6 foot, 165-pound senior. Jason Baldwin, 6'1", 175 senior, wearing number 1. Joseph Morse, the other safety spot, number 12, 6 foot, 170 senior. And John Jones Jr., wearing number 11, a 5'11 junior.
And you'll hear some of those same names when we take a look at this Benedictine offense. They do have quite a few two-way players. Let's take a look at this Benny offense. Wide receiver, number 1, J.J. Baldwin, a senior, 6'1", 175. Number 8, wide receiver, Joey Pomdian, 6 feet tall, 165-pound senior. Up front, left tackle, Eric Charlie, 6'3", 250, just a sophomore. The left guard, number 66, Braylon Rose, 5'10", 240-pound junior. The center, also a junior, number 54, Shepard Charlton, 5'11", 230. The right guard, Michael Duckworth, 6'1", 245. He's a senior. And the right tackle is a sophomore, number 72, Augie Stroman, 6'1", 215. The tight end is number 24, Augie Rosalina, 5'10", 195-pound senior. In the backfield, tailback number 7, Chris Maloney, 5'11", 185. He's a senior. And the quarterback, a junior, 6 feet, 210 pounds, number 10, Matthew First. He's coming off a nice game last week where he went 14 for 19, 170 yards, and he threw for 3 scores. The kicking will be done by Bryce Meaton, 6'3", 175-pound senior.
Now checking out that Shoremen defense, which you will see on the field in a moment on the defensive line. Eric Van Ewen, number 48, 6'1", 204 junior. Also Mitchell McMahon, number 69, 5'10", 200-pound senior. Caleb Smith, also in the middle there on that D-line, 5'10", 257-pound junior. Jack O'Toole, 6'2", 256-pound senior. Then the linebackers, Owen Fatch, who also plays tight end on offense, 6 foot, 186-pound senior. Landon Lydiard, 5'9", 207-pound senior in the middle there. And Isaac Durbin, 5'9", 180-pound senior. And then in that secondary, which could be the most talented part of that defense, Jacob Packer, 6'1", 165-pound senior at number 11. Then the safeties, Nathan Haven, 5'9", 161-pound senior. Michael Summerfield, 5'9", 147-pound junior, wearing number 9. And Anthony Pippa, 6'1", 164-pound senior.
And with that, we put a cap on our Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show. Stewart's TV and Appliance, shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. All set to go for our opening kickoff, presented by Lorain County Community College. Kick off your future with LCCC, that's Lorain County Community College. We mentioned a few moments ago that Benedictine won the coin toss. They will receive. J.J. Baldwin is back deep. And trotting out onto the field for Avon Lake is Reese Polomsky, a senior, 6'1", 180.
You know, Baldwin, one of those dangerous playmakers on offense. We'll see if he can have an impact in the return game here.
Antonio Hobbs is also back deep along with Antoine Smith. Those are the three standing back, getting set to receive this opening kickoff. Both teams come in at 1-0. And now we're finally starting to get a little bit of a breeze up here, which is nice.
That's right, won't say no to that. I'm sure the players won't either if they're getting that.
Oh, yeah, it's hot down there on that turf. Reese Polomsky looks like he's ready to go, as is everybody else. The officials are in place. Let's get this party started. There's the whistle. Polomsky will run forward, get his right foot into it. High end over end kick. Baldwin has to go back into his end zone, watches it sail over his head. It is a touchback. In just a few moments, we will get our first snap of the half. The first snap of each half brought to you by Janasco Insurance. The protection you need, the service you deserve. That's Janasco Insurance.
Well, I'm real interested to see how Benedictine chooses to start this game because Avon Lake's front seven, they showed a lot of aggressiveness in their week one showdown with Strongsville. So I wonder if they try to take advantage from that early or if they try to set something up with the run here as they have a great standout running back in Chris Maloney.
He's already received an offer, saw on Twitter earlier this week from Lake Erie College. They have a couple of guys that have gotten offers from Lake Erie over in Paynesville. So it's Matthew first. Set up under center. He's got Maloney behind him in the backfield and a three-wide receiver. Look, he'll take the snap. They'll pitch it left side. They go to Maloney. He gets across the edge of the 30. He's got room down the near sideline. He's going to go all the way. There's nobody within 15 yards of him. He goes the distance. A 75-yard touchdown rush on the first play from scrimmage for Chris Maloney.
Matthew first pitches it back to Chris Maloney of the Bengals for a Bengals touchdown.
Lightning in a bottle and all made possible. Obviously, the offensive line did their job, but Joey Pomnian out at receiver did a great job setting the edge, and it was to the wide side of the field. And you give Maloney a lane like that, he's gone. He's not looking back.
I mean, he was off to the races at the Benedictine 40-yard line. He got across the midfield stripe. There wasn't a Shoreman within 15 yards of him. Whew. In comes Bryce Meaton to try and split the uprights here. Snap goes back, the hold is down, kick is on the way, and it is good. 7-0. Benedictine leads Avon Lake. Not quite 12 seconds into the opening stanza on the Lorain County Sports Network. Well, if you're just joining us, you missed an explosive play, the only one from scrimmage to this point, as Chris Maloney came off the left edge, a 75-yard touchdown rush to give Benedictine an early 7-0 lead. And boy, Max, an explosive play right off the bat here. And so far, Benedictine's plan has worked to perfection.
I mean, you want to have the game plan to go in and silence a home crowd. There isn't a better way to do it than that right there. I mean, it was such an effective blocking scheme, and I mean, Maloney, wow, we knew he had that potential, but he didn't get as many chances to show it last week as they had just some methodical drives against Canton South, and this week, I mean, in the opening drive, he gets to show off that athleticism.
Bryce Meaton to kick it off. Dropping back deep is Aiden Stewart for Avon Lake.
Now, Stewart, he's a player that can do the exact same thing. He had two very long touchdown catches and runs in week one. And
Stewart of the
right here on the kickoff, I know he'd love to respond.
Meaton looks both ways. Got both hands up in the air. He'll run forward and he'll kick this away. A high kick. Stewart has to drift just to the left of the 10-yard line to receive it. Trying to shake a defender, but he's tackled back at the 16-yard line. A nice stop made by Antonio Hobbs to stop him at the 16-yard line. So early on in this one, Max, Benedictine's got all the momentum.
I mean, that's right, Bryce. Mateen, you mentioned the kicker there, did a great job pinning that into the corner, and I just don't think the Shoremen blockers adjusted. They went for like a middle wedge almost, if you will, and that left the Benedictine Bengals, who stayed in their lanes, it rewarded them nicely.
So it's Alex Afalter, 6 foot, 190-pound senior, to lead the charge for this Avon Lake offense last week against Strongsville. Completed 18 of 26 passes for a couple of touchdowns and 228 yards. Comes out of the shotgun, Anthony Benedict behind him. Takes the snap, and they'll give this one to Benedict. Tries the middle, but not much room to work. He is stopped close to the 17, maybe the 18, a very short gain on first down.
Affelter hands the ball off to Benedict of the Shoremen,
And
but
last week,
brought down
Benedict,
by 6 from the Bengals.
major
Jameer
beneficiary
Church.
of some carries, 17 total, as they tried to get that running game going as much as they could. It only came out to around an average of just under 4 yards a carry, so I know they'd like to reestablish that this week, especially with that dominant offensive line.
You talked about it during the pregame show. They'll bring in some extra bodies on that offensive line. They'll take the snap, they give to Benedict again, but that hole closes very quickly. He's corralled and stopped at the 18-yard line. James Yane came in to close out at the very end of that play, along with Sean O'Connell.
And is brought down by 30
So
of the
just
Bengals.
a 1-yard
Sean
pickup,
O'Connell.
and it'll be 3rd down and 8 for Avon Lake.
One of my concerns for the Shoremen heading into this game was if they got forced into situations, because this is a swarming defense from Benedictine. But the thing is, Affelter, a very experienced quarterback. We saw last week he made a lot of plays on the move, and he's also very comfortable as a passer. So not really going to be rattled here in a 3rd and long. Interested to see how much they let him turn it loose here.
Well, this time they'll bring in Alex Kowalski. He's off the right side of the quarterback, Alex Afalter. They've got 3 receivers lined up near side right, 1 lined up far side to the left. Back to pass, Afalter. He's got time, but now he's being chased. Flushed out near side to the right, looking down the field, airs this one out. He's got a man open. It's caught in stride at the 45-yard line. Taken to the 20, 15, still on his feet, driven down just inside the 5-yard line. Anthony Benedict on the receiving end of a monster play from Avon Lake, and the Shoremen are in business. They have entered the red zone early on in this one. The red zone brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Selling or buying your next home, visit superstevesells.com. That's superstevesells.com.
My goodness, and that's the composure on display there from Affelter. He had a running lane open as well as Nathan Haven, but he waited, let the play develop a little bit, and wow, set up a huge play, 1st and goal here.
Extra lineman comes in late here. They come out in the I formation. Snap taken, they'll give to Benedict. Benedict tries to cut his way through that line, but he's tripped up and he goes down near the 1-yard line, setting up 2nd down and goal.
The handoff to Benedict is brought down by Jonathan Spikes of the Bengals, bringing up 2nd and goal for the Shoremen.
In this situation, you can probably, everybody in here can guess what they're going to try to do with that formation in place.
Quarterback sneak, but now we've got a whistle, and it looks like timeout was called by Benedictine.
Timeout.
So indeed, timeout was called by the Bengals. Timeouts throughout the night brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. Securing and organizing real estate documents, that's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. We'll go ahead and keep this one here for just a moment, because these timeouts tend to go pretty quickly, and with Avon Lake on the 1-yard line, we certainly don't want to break and miss that. So we'll keep it right here. And, you know, Max, they took the snap, but the timeout was called. They kind of showed their hand there a little bit, going for that quarterback sneak. I'd like to think they might not do that again.
You got that right. The tendency would be for Benedictine to expect that. And here, I mean, you got so many options that they could choose to go with. Of course, Luke Stewie out on the field right now. I'm interested to see if they wanted to go play action here. You probably don't need to, but slip him out of the backfield in some way, and he can probably outrun anybody to the pylon.
Well, and now you get an athlete like that on the field, you keep them guessing a little bit. And everybody was bunched up, I think, as you mentioned before the snap. We all kind of figured what might be coming. Now they've got different personnel on the field.
And
a 4-wide look.
And Benedictine trying to adjust. They've got some receivers open up there.
Alex Afalter takes the snap. He'll keep it himself. Gets out of a tackle, makes his way across the goal line. Touchdown! It looked like he was dead to rights at the 3-yard line. However, he was able to escape the arms of James Yane and make his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Shoremen.
I mean, they ran the read option to perfection there. Sean O'Connell had the right read in mind. He couldn't make the tackle behind the line. And as you said, great job by Falter finishing that off, as he is a dual threat. He has a great arm, but he also has the ability to run. Ran for nearly 40 yards last week in their victory.
Reese Polomsky on for the extra point to try and knot this game up at 7 apiece. Owen Fatch, the holder for Avon Lake. And there's early movement on the left side, or beg your pardon, the right side of the Benedictine defensive line.
Debo, encroachment, defense number 21, half the distance.
Well, half the distance doesn't get you much here, but they'll have a chance to kick this again. That ended up being a 5-play, 84-yard drive for the Shoremen. The big play there, obviously, that monster pickup on 3rd down and 8, setting them up inside the 5-yard line of the pitch and catch from a Falter to Benedict. Snap goes back. Fatch will get the hold down. The extra point is blocked. And the ball is ruled dead as soon as that ball was deflected. So the extra point is no good. And it's 7-6. Avon Lake trailing Benedictine with 9:46 to play in the first quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. So a 1-yard touchdown rush by Alex Falter, capping a 5-play, 84-yard drive for the Shoremen. But as Max Drummond pointed out, Joey Pomnian on the block on the PAT. So Benny still has the lead up 7-6 with 9:46 left on this first quarter clock. Pleased to have you dialed in on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bulbarch with you, joined alongside Max Drummond, Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovacool. Reese Polomsky has it teed up, and he'll kick it away. High end over end. J.J. Baldwin has to drift into his own end zone to retrieve that near the K in Avon Lake, and it'll be a touchback yet again for Benedictine.
Touchback on Polomsky's kickoffs. Puts the Bengals at 1st and 10 on their 25-yard line.
Well, tough to know what to make of this offense so far, since we've only seen one play, albeit it was a very, very good one.
That's right. It was the best possible outcome to open a drive. And right now we'll see how Avon Lake responds to a bit of adversity. Last week they started out up 14-0 before they were threatened at all. So interesting to see how they'll play trailing here, and if that'll make for a more aggressive play calling, or if they'll try to maybe play contain here, as Maloney obviously back in the game. And he's the Lightning. I'd have to say Jameer Church, when he enters the game, he's the Thunder for the Bengals.
Matthew First now back in the shotgun. He's got Maloney behind him in a 3-wide receiver set here. He'll grab the snap and he'll drop back to pass. Looking to his left, throws left, has a man open. It's Baldwin, makes the catch at the 40. He's off to the races. He's at the Avon Lake 30, gets a huge block. He's going to go all the way for a touchdown. It's an 80-yard touchdown pass from Matthew First to J.J. Baldwin. He picked up a huge block right around the 30-yard line of Avon Lake to officially spring him loose, and it's 13-6 Bengals with 9:33 left in the first quarter.
I mean, my goodness, this Bengals offense, they don't even have enough time to set out their script. I mean, it's like it's carrying over to each drive. And, I mean, my goodness, Baldwin, we knew he's a great athlete. Him and Pomnian both looked wide open down that left sideline. First just had to choose which one he wanted to go to.
Low snap, they're able to put it down. The extra point is blocked. So 2 blocked PATs early on in this one. It remains 13-6. Benedictine leading Avon Lake. 9:33 left in the first quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network.
9 minutes left.
Two explosive plays for this Benedictine offense. A 75-yard touchdown rush by Chris Maloney. And the very next play that they ran just a couple minutes later, a touchdown pass from Matthew First to J.J. Baldwin, 13-6. Benedictine leads Avon Lake. Max, they've only run 2 plays in this game.
I mean, 2 plays, and they're already well over 100 yards. I mean, I believe Avon Lake tried some man coverage there, and Benedictine wanted to test them, and it really paid off. And as you mentioned, great blocks down the field as well to seal what is now the touchdown lead. The touchdown lead thanks to the missed extra point. And Benedictine had some problems with that last week as they missed 2 extra points, so that's something they got to get shored up.
Meaton will kick this one off. High, end over end. This will be retrieved at about the 8-yard line by Aiden Stewart. Tries to take it to the near side. Stepped out of one tackle, then he was tripped up right around the 19-yard line.
Stewart is brought down by John Jones
John
Jr.
Jones
of the Bengals.
was able to get to him before he could get to the 20-yard line. So we'll get our second look at this Avon Lake offense. They were able to march the ball down the field. A 5-play, 84-yard drive that ended in a 1-yard touchdown rush for Alex Afalter.
And we can fully expect that to continue. The passing attack has been lethal this season. Interested to see if they try to slow the game down here and try to get Benedict in that running game a little bit more fluid here in this opening quarter.
Afalter is back in the shotgun. He'll have Luke Stewie on one side of him, and he'll also have Alex Kowalski on the other. He sends Stewie in motion to line him up on the left side. Grabs the shotgun snap, looking down the field, throws to his right. Aiden Stewart tried to make a sliding catch, but it was incomplete on the near sideline, so that brings up 2nd down and 10.
Very far throw to make there. Tough one as well, as Afalter did what he could for Stewart, waiting for Stewart to come out of that comeback route, and the timing was just about there. Ball just floated a little bit further on him than he probably wanted.
And he had some time to throw that pass too. Plenty of time for that route to develop, but good coverage by this Benedictine secondary.
Certainly was, and that's going to be a beautiful matchup, seeing the receivers and DBs on both sides of the ball going against each other, as there are a lot of great athletes out there.
Afalter will grab the snap. It's a keeper. Try to take it off the right side, and he redirected, and he went right into the waiting arms of a couple of different Benedictine defenders. Looked like the linebacker James Yane was one of the first ones in there. Tristan Wilson, also part of that stop. No gain. That brings up 3rd and long.
So as powerful and effective as this Avon Lake offensive line is, we're somewhat seeing them struggle to get to that second level, and that's what happened there. As Yane, as you mentioned, was just waiting for Afalter after he decided to keep the ball on that one.
Kowalski off the left tip of Afalter here. 3 receivers to his left. He's got Stewart lined up near side to the right. Dropped back to pass. Benedictine rushing 4. Pressure coming now. Afalter throws this one down the field, incomplete. He was looking for Nathan Haven, but pretty tight coverage there by Antonio Hobbs, and we do have a flag at the 20-yard line.
That we do, and Afalter just so smooth moving in that pocket as it was set for a while, but like you said, just nobody getting open in a timely manner. So just led to him having to hold it for longer.
Illegal participation, 12 men on offense. That penalty be declined. The result of play, 4th down.
That's our head referee, Mark Larrick, giving you the call. Penalty was declined. The result of the play is an incomplete pass, so it's 4th down and 9. And Avon Lake will be forced to punt. J.J. Baldwin back to receive this for the Benedictine Bengals, right around his own 46-yard line. And Reese Polomsky, with his heels on his own 5, set to kick this away. Benedictine head coach Joe Prevesk saying something to one of the officials here.
Thought maybe he was looking for a timeout at first, but now maybe an explanation.
Reese Polomsky to punt for the Shoremen with J.J. Baldwin deep back to receive for the Bengals.
Well, he walks away looking a little displeased with the explanation that he got. I kind of wonder if maybe he wanted to take the penalty, but it was too late.
That could be.
Snap will go back to Polomsky. He's able to get this kick away. End over end. Baldwin calls for a fair catch and makes it at the 45. This has been a terrific start for Benedictine to this point, Max.
You've got that right. Picture perfect, as they've been able to, even though it's only been 2 plays, they've been able to do whatever they want. I mean, on the first drive, as you might expect, they started with the run, and you might think that would be used to set up the pass, but they score 1 play, and then they come back the next drive, and they're like, well, we set up the pass, we ran it, so let's go to the air, and that paid off as well. So seems like they can do whatever they want right now.
Well, the bar has been set unbelievably high at this point, right? 2 plays, 2 touchdowns.
Good luck, Shore Gals.
And the best field position they've had all night, right?
There you go, you got it. First out under center. 3 receivers to work with, 2 to his right, 1 near side left. He has Maloney in the backfield. They'll pitch it to Maloney. He takes it right side, makes a cut back toward the middle. Tripped up along the hash, and he goes down near the 48. That's a scamper of 3 yards on first down.
So great job there by Jack O'Toole that time, setting the edge, refusing to allow Maloney to get the outside corner. And it did a great job getting it back into the teeth of the defense.
Nose of the ball resting at the 49. That officially makes that a gain of 4, setting up 2nd down and 6. Well, Coach Prevesk told us earlier in the week that with 11 games under his belt, for Matthew First, they had to simplify things for him a bit last year, but they told him, look, we've got to open things up a little bit. And they've done that to some degree early on here, and they did that a little bit last week against Canton South. First will grab the snap, play action fake, throws left side, the passes, almost intercepted at the 40-yard line. Luke Stewie was inches away from getting his 2nd pick of the season.
My goodness, and that is due to some pressure. He had to get the ball out with a higher release, leading to the ball coming in a little bit high, and he's very lucky. That's secondary. Do not give them second chances because they will make you pay. They got some great athletes in that back end, and that's where majority of their experience on that defensive side lies.
First back of the shotgun again. And this time they'll bunch everybody up toward the line of scrimmage. Maloney's about a yard behind him, and now they'll set him up on his right side. He'll drop back to pass. Looking down the field, facing pressure, he gets popped. The ball's on the turf. Avon Lake recovers it at the 44-yard line. Well, that was the big fella, Jack O'Toole, who provided the pressure, and he was able to knock it out of the hands of Matthew First. The Shoremen come away with the first turnover of the game. They take over at the Benedictine 44.
And that's how you respond. Great job as that back-to-back plays. The one before, they almost had the turnover right there. They come away with it. And we're here in the coach's corner. Matthew First, very comfortable and very calm player right there. Maybe a little too calm. And a great job by Jack O'Toole coming off the edge there and stripping that free.
So they will officially mark this at the Benedictine 45. A monster turnover, and one that Avon Lake really needed at this part of the ballgame. Anthony Benedict is the tailback here. They'll hand it off to him. He has nowhere to go. He is dropped. The first one in the backfield for Benedictine was Jameer Church. He stopped that play dead in its tracks. That'll be a loss of 1.
So I was hoping we would have had a chance to mention him on their offense because he runs like a bowling ball. He is the size of one there on that defensive side of the ball for Benedictine, but he also moves really well and right there just blowing up the play.
We talked about this matchup, the Avon Lake offensive line against that front 7 of Benedictine. So far the Bengals are making some moves in that matchup. If Falter drops back, the rushing 4 now. He's being pressured, gets away from it, looks down the field, fires down the field. He's looking for Stewie. Stewie almost made that catch, drifting back in coverage. There's a flag on the play at the very end of it in the end zone.
Flag on the play.
And where that happened, you have to believe that's either going to be defensive holding or pass interference, and Stewie is a bit slow to get up in that Avon Lake end zone.
Well, he put his body on the line there certainly to try to go up and make that play. It looks like they're going to hit Antonio Hobbs for the PI on that.
15 yards from his previous spot.
So it's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down, as you could hear from our head referee, Mark Larrick. I mean, that shows you just how great of an athlete he is, Max. There were 3 Bengals in his face. He still almost caught that backpedaling into the end zone.
Well, and Alex Affolter, the quarterback, certainly knows that as no play is ever over. When you have Stewie running down the field like that, he almost had a long ball touchdown like that last week. It was originally called that against Strongsville, but then overturned right there. They tried to go right back to him, but he may not have caught it, but he set them up with another first down.
My old roommate with the Lake Erie Crushers, the trainer for Avon Lake, the turkey hunter, Matt Yankoff, going out there to check on Stewie to make sure he's okay, and is walking off under his own power. Glad to see that.
Stewie, he dealt with some injuries last season, so never want to see that to any player, but he's worked very hard to get back to this point, so we'll see if we see the Shoremen back out there.
So coming out of the injury timeout, it's 1st and 10 for Avon Lake after the pass interference penalty, and they've got it at the 31 of Benedictine. 13-6, Bengals leading the Shoremen, 6:46 to play first quarter. This is the 3rd drive of the night for Avon Lake. 3 receivers lined up on the right side of the formation. Falter will take the snap. They'll hand it off to Benedict, trying to turn the corner left side. He gets to the sideline, and he's knocked out of bounds inside the 30, close to the 27. It's a 4-yard gain.
Well, they may try to do more of that because Maxwell Riley took up the space of 2 defenders leading the way on that one. I mean, that is a mountain of a man, and that's probably their best run of the night so far.
Shows you just how good the front 7 of Benedictine has been. A 4-yard gain, and that's their longest pickup in that running game so far.
That's right. It's interesting to me because they only run a 3-man front. You know, it's not as foreign of a concept anymore, but it still just makes it that much more impressive.
2nd down and 6. Same personnel on the field here. They'll take the snap. It's a pass across the middle, caught by Aiden Stewart. He's at the 15-yard line where he's corralled by J.J. Baldwin for a first down.
For a Shoreman first down.
So that's Stewart's first target of the night. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that as the game goes on.
And now Avon Lake stressing tempo. And you got to imagine that a guy like Aiden Stewart's going to see a lot more single coverage, especially when you're on the field at the same time as a guy like Luke Stewie. He took advantage of that last week against Strongsville. A Falter back to pass, improvising, stepping up to his left, looking down the field. He took a pop and he lost the ball at the end of the play right around the 14-yard line, and Benedictine comes away with the loose ball. A monster turnover, and it was Jameer Church who came away with the loose ball.
Number 6, Jameer Church.
And Joey Pomnian put the pop on Alex Affolter. So back-to-back turnovers on consecutive drives. And we have another injured player down in the field. We'll step aside and take a timeout. 6:15 to go first quarter. Benedictine 13, Avon Lake 6 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming off that timeout, an injury timeout, and limping off the field is Tyrell O'Neill, a defensive end for Benedictine. Well, the Bengals with a huge turnover inside the red zone. Alex Affolter popped by Joey Pomnian. Jameer Church recovered the fumble, and Benedictine takes over at their own 14-yard line.
It was a very close call. I think him going over the defender kept him off the ground, and that's why it was ruled a fumble.
Matthew first under center, sends Rosalina the tight end in motion. They'll give to Maloney. He goes up the middle, and he's able to push his way up to about the 20. So that's a 6-yard pickup on first down.
That's right, and you mentioned Rosalina coming in motion there. They love using him that way as a lead blocker of sorts. And you might think it's a mismatch, him being under 200 pounds going against that defensive line, but once he gets a little momentum from the motion, he really lays a pop in the hole and opened it up there for Maloney.
Back-to-back turnovers on consecutive drives. Avon Lake was marching down the field, and that Benedictine defense was able to jar the ball loose, and now they're set up 2nd and 4. First under center again. 3 receivers to work with. Rosalina in motion to the right. They'll give to Maloney again. Has a nice hole right side. Breaks a tackle. He's past the 30-yard line. He's got some room to work as he goes down the far sideline. Off to the races again. And he's going to go all the way. Touchdown, Benedictine. Maloney with an 80-yard dash to pay dirt. His second touchdown of the night. And now all of a sudden it's 19-6 Bengals with 5:11 to play here in the first quarter, but there is a flag all the way down at the Avon Lake 4-yard line.
I think that Benedictine sideline might have been getting a little too excited there, so it could be as harmless as that, but at the 35-yard line or so, he shook a tackle.
Warning, Cleveland Benedictine, that's their first sideline warning of the game.
So very excited for obvious reasons, but man, Avon Lake, they had a tackler on him at around the 30-yard line, and that just proves how dangerous he is if you let him get past the first man.
75-yard touchdown rush, an 80-yard touchdown rush for Chris Maloney. Just lighting things up here tonight. Bryce Meaton on for the extra point. High snap, they're able to get it down. The extra point is up and good. 20-6, Benedictine leading. Avon Lake with 5:11 to go in the first quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming off an 80-yard touchdown rush from Chris Maloney. He had one from 75 yards out earlier. Benedictine in the driver's seat, leading 20-6 over Avon Lake with just over 5 minutes to play in the opening stanza. A game that has been full of fireworks, and there will be more when this game is over as well. Andy Bulbarch, Max Drummond with you. Captain of our ship is Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovakul is running the camera. Max, I'm not quite sure anybody saw this coming.
I mean, a bit of shell shock happening here, but how effectively Avon Lake's defense played last week, I mean, I fully expected them to at least be able to corral for the opening quarter. I mean, we still have 5 minutes to go here in the first.
And I mean, this game has seen a little bit of everything.
Big
plays on both sides,
of the Shoremen, deep
back-to-back turnovers on consecutive drives as that momentum pendulum just continues to swing. Bryce Meaton has it teed up at the 45-yard line. Aiden Stewart waiting for it right around his own 7. He'll run forward and he'll kick it away again. High kick, this one a little short. Stewart retrieves it at the 13-yard line. Takes it up to the 20. He tried to make a couple of men miss, but he stumbled and he goes down right around the 20.
Stewart is brought down by Antonio Hobbs of the Bengals.
And despite his great speed, he just hasn't had a chance to find a crease or break it open yet on these kickoffs. So now, I was going to say before the start of their last drive, we'll see if they want to avoid a track meet, but now I don't think they have any choice. They've got to get down the field here and get some of this momentum back from the Bengals.
Earlier this week, Coach Kostelnik mentioned that he felt pretty good about his matchup with their receivers going up against Benedictine's defensive backs. They've really only been able to test that a couple of times here tonight. A Falter takes the snap. They'll give to Benedict. He gets popped and dropped. He'll lose a yard. He goes down right around the 19-yard line. Jameer Church was in on the stop again. That's a name we've said a lot tonight.
certainly right. He has been a playmaker on that defense, and 6 carries for 6 yards for Benedict. So those rushing struggles have not gone away from a week ago.
You said it before, and we'll mention it again. That matchup that we've talked about a ton since the pregame show, the front 7 of Benedictine going up against that offensive line of Avon Lake. Pressure coming, a faulted throw is left, caught by Stewart. Stewart down the sideline, leaps over a defender, and he steps out of bounds. He went out of the 34, but that's still more than enough to move the sticks for Avon Lake.
Complete for a Shoremen first down.
And a nice simple route there, not too long developing, just turn around, hit him with the short hitch, and he's able to make a play after the catch, and they're going to need a lot of that here in the remainder of this game.
Just inside of 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Benedictine leading Avon Lake 20-6. If Falter works out of the shotgun this time, he'll have Kowalski off his right side. They'll send Stewie in motion. And they're going to give this one right up the middle to Kowalski. Nowhere for him to go. Jameer Church in there on the stop, along with Yamil Riello.
Brought down by Yamil Riello of the Bengals.
And I mean, right now, this Benedictine front is playing with their ears pinned back. They are okay leaving the receivers on islands against their corners, and they want to shut down this run right now, and they're being extremely effective at it.
Yeah, the big plays in this game have come in the passing game for Avon Lake. They just haven't been able to run the ball well consistently so far. Falter will grab the snap. Pressure coming. He's being chased. He gets popped at the 28-yard line. He was hit by James Yane, one of the captains of this team. Dropped him back at the 29-yard line. And now it'll be 3rd down and long for the Shoremen.
So they brought a couple extra rushers there. And fortunately for Avon Lake, you would think they left the running back in to help. So they had 6-on-6, but the routes were long developing, and Falter just didn't see an opening, and he didn't want to risk it. Now, like I said, 3rd and very long here at a crucial point in this first quarter.
3rd and 15 for Avon Lake at their own 29-yard line. And now we've got some confusion on the Avon Lake sideline. Timeout is called by head coach Matt Kostelnik as they try and figure some things out. And Max, you could see the confusion. Aiden Stewart looked like he was in the backfield, and he was trying to figure out where to line up on the right side of that formation. So probably a good timeout taken by Coach Kostelnik because, as you mentioned, 3rd and very long here. You know, to punt the ball back to an offense that's had their way so far in this game would not be a good formula at this point for Avon Lake.
Not at all. They need to be able to find a way, just any means possible, get this first down, even if that means a falter. If a play breaks down, using his legs to get there, or some sort of route combination involving Stewart and as well as Stewie. I mean, they have to throw it down the field here, and the offensive line, they've been able to set pretty good pockets, but like we've seen on this drive specifically, Benedictine has responded with sending the extra rusher or a blitz.
We've got a couple of candidates for our big play of the game brought to you by Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lorain County. Be a big, get a big. That's Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Lorain County. Usually we have to wait at least a couple of quarters for that, but we've got about 3 or 4 different candidates at this point.
You're not wrong, and I mean, one guy, he's trying to take the whole award for himself, and Chris Maloney.
He doesn't want to share. 2:58 left of this first quarter clock. 3rd and long coming up for Avon Lake. A Falter back to pass. Benedictine rushing 3. A Falter steps up, looking down the field. He gets hit by Yane and dropped at the 27. James Yane has been all over the place tonight.
Sacked by James Yane III.
And in a situation where they initially only rushed 3, Falter just could not find anybody open down the field.
Yeah, thought he might have had a lane there to take off, but with it being 3rd and so long, he was trying to look for something downfield, and there was just some congestion there past midfield that he didn't want to risk it with.
Reese Polomsky on to punt again. J.J. Baldwin just inside his own 35-yard line. Snap goes back to Polomsky, gets the kick away with ease. A bit of a wobbler. Baldwin calls for a fair catch, has to come up to the 40-yard line to make it. So, Max, here again, good field position for Benedictine. Had a chance to go up 3 scores in this game.
You got that right. And I would say they can take their time with the run game, but these running plays have resulted in a lot of home run hitters. So interesting to see if they will continue with the man that's been responsible for that in Chris Maloney, or if they try the battering ram a little bit with Jameer Church. They've got plenty of athletes to choose from to get the ball to, that's for sure.
They haven't asked their quarterback, Matthew First, to do a ton. But then again, he delivered on the one big play on the touchdown pass to J.J. Baldwin, an 80-yard strike.
That's right.
First up under center. Maloney by himself in the backfield to bring the tight end Rosalina in motion. Hand off to Maloney. Huge hole up the middle, and he finally goes down at the 50-yard line. So a 10-yard pickup.
Church on the carry for the Bengals, brought down by Durbin and Fatch of your Shoremen.
Actually, check that. That was Jameer
First
Church,
down,
not
Bengals.
Maloney on the carry. You talked about that thunder and lightning combination earlier.
I mean, am I crazy? It looked like he was playing linebacker again right there with the power on display. My goodness.
Church, the only tailback of the formation again. 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line. Rosalina sent in motion again. And they'll hand it off to Church, but this time he gets stopped at the 49. He'll lose a yard on that play as that pile just continues to shift one way and then the other. And they'll give him the 50-yard line, no gain in the play.
By a host of Shoremen defense.
And really,
2nd and 10.
there were
Bengals.
so many different Shoremen in on that stop. It's hard to see who the first one there was, but there were so many maroon jerseys in on that stop.
Yeah, they get great job rallying to the ball there and finishing off the hit. That's what I know these coaches for Avon Lake want to see more of, getting tackling and just not letting the big plays become a possibility.
2nd down and 10. This time First will drop back in the shotgun. It's got 3 receivers, and they've got Church off his left hip. He drops back to pass, looks down the field. Looking down the field for Antoine Smith. The pass is knocked away, incomplete. Jacob Packer on the coverage. He was able to bat that away from Smith. One-on-one coverage out there, and Packer passed the test.
The Bengals, Antoine Smith is denied by number 11 for your Shoreman, Jake Packer.
I think it makes it even more impressive that Smith, he did a great job waiting until the last possible second to get those hands up to go for the catch, and just even better timing by Packer, the senior, who is a tall 6'1", so that's a great quality to have in one of your starting corners.
This is the first 3rd down situation facing Benedictine tonight. Strange as that might sound, with just inside of a minute to play here in the first quarter, they lead Avon Lake 20-6. It's 3rd and 10 at the 50. Church remains in the backfield, off the left side of First. He drops back, rolling to his left, now facing pressure. They set up a screen, and this is caught. To take it past the 45-yard line, Stewie's able to escort him out of bounds on the far side. Jonathan Spikes picks up 15 yards on 3rd down, as they just continue to march the ball down the field.
That's right, and the Bengals offense taking advantage of that aggressiveness that is constantly on display by Avon Lake, and right there using the screen. And Jonathan Spikes didn't have a lot of big plays on offense last week, but just shows how deep they are at that skill position.
A 20-yard pickup on 3rd down and 10. And right now this Benedictine offense is doing everything right. 25 seconds to play in this first quarter clock. Rosalina, the tight end, moves in motion. They'll give it to Church. Church has a hole initially, and it'll take a couple of Shoremen to knock him down as he drags the pile past the 25 to the 24. That's a gain of 6. And in all likelihood, that'll probably bring this first quarter to a close.
For the Bengals, brought down by Owen Fatch and Isaac Durbin from
That
your
indeed
Shoremen.
will take the final ticks off this first quarter clock at the end of one. Benedictine 20, Avon Lake 6 on the Lorain County Sports Network.
Shoremen.
Just about to begin the second quarter of action here at Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium. But the visiting Benedictine Bengals are having all the fun in this one, leading the Shoremen 20-6. So happy to have you with us on a very, very warm and humid Friday night off the shores of Lake Erie. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call. Our captain of the ship is Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovacol working the camera tonight. 4 horsemen back at it again. I can't wait for our new gear, man. We got to take that new profile pic and get things rolling. Next week, we won't be far from here. We'll be over in Avon for a matchup between the Avon Eagles and the Glenville Tarblooders. That ought to be a really interesting matchup next Friday night.
A rematch from a year ago, and that's what we've got on our hands here in this one, going a lot differently than it did for the Shoremen last season.
Benedictine faced with a 2nd and 4 scenario at the Avon Lake 24-yard line. Church remains the only tailback in this formation. First, we'll move Rosalina, the tight end, in motion one more time. They'll give it to Church, tries the middle. He was able to escape a tackle from Fatch, and he's able to plow his way past the 20, and he goes down at the 16. That'll move the sticks for Benedictine, 1st and 10 for the Bengals. They are inside the red zone one more time. The Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services red zone. Selling or buying your next home? Visit superstevesells.com.
I mean, Church, such a determined runner, and it's really paying dividends, as that's an already somewhat tired Avon Lake defense that's been out there. Not a lot, but they've done a lot of chasing, and I think he's just having a very adverse effect on their defensive front right now.
Yeah, and Church is a tough guy to take down, 5'9", $195. Not doing anything crazy with him. He's just going up the gut of that offensive line, and he's picking up big chunks. They'll give it to him again. Makes a couple of men miss. Ran over another defender, spins off another. He gets to the near side, reaches for the pylon. He's awfully close, but they say he stepped out at the 1.
Church on the carry, brought out of bounds by number 1 for your Shoreman, Luke Stewie.
I mean, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling on that play.
1st and goal, Bengals.
Every bit of that, and it may be a blessing in disguise that he stepped out, because the ball came out as he was diving for the pylon, so I don't know if that would have resulted in a touchback, but like you said, they marked him out at the 1, and now they're set up to go up by 3 scores.
He seemed like he picked up steam after he broke a couple of tackles. We saw both slash and burn and smash and churn on that play from Jameer Church.
And he's nearly up to the half-century mark. His running partner, Maloney, already at 160 on the night, so they are gashing this Shoreman defense right now.
They come out in the eye. They'll give to Church again, and he marches his way across the goal line. Touchdown, Bengals. 26-6, Benedictine on top of Avon Lake with 11:08 to play here in the second quarter on a 1-yard touchdown plunge from Jameer Church.
And I mean, Benedictine did not come in here intimidated, and they've been able to run their offense in its entirety. I mean, we've seen a lot on the ground, and just enough through the air right now.
A late substitution is coming into the game, is Tyrell O'Neill. It's good to see that young man back out there. He went down with an injury earlier tonight. They'll send the snap back. Meaton's extra point is on the way and good. 27-6. Benedictine leads Avon Lake with 11:08 to go in the second quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network.
Shoreman 6.
An 8-play, 60-yard drive comes to a close for Benedictine on a 1-yard touchdown rush from Jameer Church, 27-6. Benedictine leads Avon Lake. Not quite a minute gone from the second quarter clock. And a hush has kind of roared over the crowd here at Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium. I don't think anybody saw this coming.
No, certainly not. And as the sun starts to set, we'll see if Benedictine can keep the pressure on or if Avon Lake can respond here. As, like you said, that's the one thing they have on their side right now. There is plenty of time left to go and make some big plays happen.
And this is an offense that is, we've talked about a lot. They've got big play capability. But they need to find something pretty quickly here.
You got that
Meeting
right.
of the Bengals will kick off to 17 of the Shoremen, Aiden Stewart.
Meaton will run forward and get his right foot into it. And this kick will bounce at about the 16-yard line. Picked up on a hop by Benedict. He takes it past the 20 to the 25. Looked like he saw a seam for a second. He was able to get just past the 30 to about the 31-yard line.
On the carry makes good yards before being brought down by Darius Smiler.
The way he kicks off, Max, those pop-up kicks, the returner has to sit there and wait for it. He doesn't really get a whole lot of momentum going forward, and because of that, it also gives the return team plenty of time to get down there and cover that kick.
You got that right. They're taking full advantage, and they're flying around right now with a lot of energy, too, being up 21 at the moment. And it's also tricky. If you're hesitating while you're trying to make play, when you're thinking, you're not acting, and that's clearly on display on these kickoffs right now.
Biggest play of this game. A huge pitch and catch on 3rd down and long from a falter to Anthony Benedict. That set up a 1-yard touchdown rush later in the drive from a falter, who takes the snap here, throws left side. And it's caught by Stewart, and a nice open field tackle made by Antoine Smith. He drops him near the 37, maybe the 38.
Pass to Stewart is complete, but brought down by 18, Antoine Smith.
And as great as a tackle as that was by Smith, Stewart's going to be kicking himself in film the next morning because coming from the line, big old Max Riley would have been able to hit the block if he had cut back.
A falter waiting on the shotgun snap. They're rushing 4. They'll give to, this is the throw across the middle, incomplete. Had me fooled. He was looking for Nathan Haven. A flag comes flying in, and that flag came in a couple of seconds after that pass fell incomplete.
Flag on the play.
So it did appear on that one. Stewart was being tackled mid-catch, it appeared. We'll see if that's what they choose to call here.
It seemed like they had the defense sucked in on that play action fake, and we do have a pass interference coming against Benedictine.
Defensive pass interference, number 1, 15 yards from the previous spot. Result play is a first down.
Well, in little battles like that, you kind of have to win at this point if you're Avon Lake.
Get a couple of those breaks to go your way, and it's interesting. I think we've seen the game a lot cleaner than we did last week, and that's natural here for going from week 1 to 2. So we'll see if that keeps up or if either side can force a few more turnovers, or penalties.
That'll put the ball inside Benedictine territory at the Bengals 48. A falter will take the snap. They'll give to Benedict. Big hole left side. Tried to turn the corner, but he was dragged down. He was taken to the turf at the very end of that play by James Yane. He's still able to pick up about 5 yards.
Yane has been very effective with the tackling here tonight, and that on display, getting off of a block and finishing that play off.
Avon Lake offense working with 4 receivers. Kowalski, the tailback, a falter looking left, throws left, caught by Stewart. Stewart goes out of bounds on the near sideline, and where they marked him down, looks like he's got the first down. He does. They'll put him down at the 37, and the chain gang will move forward 10 yards.
Good for a Shoreman first down.
They're also showing off, they were showing off a bit of tempo. Now they'll huddle up, so interesting. We'll see if they choose to blend those two together or if the game becomes more dire in their eyes, if they'll just pick up with more no huddle.
27-6, Benedictine with the lead, just inside of 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. Avon Lake on the move, 1st and 10 at the Benedictine 37. Falter will grab the snap, throws across the middle, caught by Stewart, and Antoine Smith will take him to the turf near the 22-yard line, although we do have a flag near the right hash at the 36.
Pass to Aiden Stewart is complete with a flag on the play.
So very late into the play there, but it was right around the line of scrimmage.
The early indication was an illegal substitution on Avon Lake.
Ineligible receiver, offense number 50.
I'm sorry.
5 yards from the previous spot.
Ineligible receiver was the call on Avon Lake. So that negates what would have been about a 14-yard pickup. Instead, that'll move them back 5 yards. They'll have to do first down again.
Well, and it was a beautiful use of play action there. It froze the corners and the linebackers for Benedictine, but unfortunately that meant the linemen had to try to sell those blocks and did so a little too well right there.
1st and 15 now at the Bengals 42. Bengals rushing 4. Pocket collapses. A Falter trying to escape, but he gets sacked. And who else but Jameer Church leading the charge on this Benedictine defense. Tackles him at the 47-yard line.
Jameer Church.
And now it's 2nd and a country mile for the Shoremen.
And the demoralizing thing for Avon Lake tonight is those were rollouts and escapes from the pocket that we saw Falter make last week and was able to keep drives alive. Now, the penalty and the sack, they're well behind the chains here as it looked like they had a very positive drive going. We'll see if they can bounce back here.
2nd and 20 at the 47. They've moved backwards in the last 2 plays. And now we've got whistles.
Timeout.
And a timeout has been called by Benedictine. That's their 2nd of the opening half. We'll take a quick timeout as well and come back after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Timeout called by Benedictine as they try and figure some things out defensively. And so far tonight, they've figured a lot of things out defensively. They've got Avon Lake in a 2nd and 20 scenario here at the 47 of Benedictine. Bengals leading 27-6 with the 2nd quarter clock reading 8:52. He's back Strubben to Mandy Bullbarch. Edwin Vereen is our director here tonight. Sam Sovacool operating the camera. Hope that you're enjoying this one, wherever you may be taking this one in at the very beginning of Labor Day weekend. It was a swamp earlier tonight. Now we feel a little bit of a breeze coming in here. It's nice.
It's definitely cooled off.
Senior quarterback Alex Falter drops back, looks right, throws right. He's got Stewie. Stewie makes the catch. And he goes down just inside the 35 at the 33-yard line. On 2nd and 20, that's a big chunk of yards.
Atwilter's pass to number 1 for the Shoremen. Luke Stewie is complete. Brought out of bounds by 17, John Jones Jr.
It really was, and a great job by Stewie looking that one in on the out route as it was a great cut at the point of attack. And he went deep enough to where this 3rd down is very manageable now.
3rd and 6. They'll operate off the right hash here at the Benedictine 33. 4 receivers for a Falter to work with again. They hand it off to Kowalski. Kowalski turns the edge right side, gets to the 20-yard line, and finally goes down along that far sideline at the 16-yard line. A 17-yard scamper on 3rd down and 6. And the Shoremen are back in the red zone.
Did a great job bouncing that one outside towards the edge, and there's a great initial blocks that helped get him there.
Shoremen offense on the move, looking for their 2nd score of the night. The give will go to Kowalski again. This time he tries the middle. He got just up to the 15-yard line, picked up maybe a yard before he hit that wall
on the
up
carry,
front
brought down
for
by number 2
Benedictine.
for the Bengals, James Yang III.
Now the closer we get to this red zone, the less space this passing game has to work with. So early in the down set here, gotta wonder if they will let it fly.
Coming up on the 8th play of this drive, which started back at their own 31-yard line. Seven and a half minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. Avon Lake in a 21-point hole. Kowalski, the tailback in this formation. Falter takes the low snap. Throws this one to the back of the end zone, incomplete. Well, he had a man open on the right side of the end zone. He was looking for Anthony Pippa.
Falls incomplete.
But there is a flag
on the play.
right around the 7-yard line.
It's a great job by the defense forcing a tight window there, and a falter. Very fortunate that one wasn't picked off in the end zone.
Holding, defense number 8, half the distance to the goal. Repeat, second down.
Perhaps there was a reason that ball was thrown where it was and Pippa couldn't get to it. Maybe he was held. Defensive holding is the call. This will move the ball inside the 10-yard line, right between the 7 and 8 yard lines. Clock stopped at 7:19. It'll officially be 2nd down and 2 after that holding call. 3 tailbacks in the formation, and it'll be Stewart who takes the direct snap, and he gets dropped. They'll take him out of bounds on that far sideline, and they'll mark him down close to the 15, just shy of that at the 14.
So this offense, you certainly want to do whatever you can to get the ball in Aiden Stewart's hands, but right there on 2nd and short with that offensive line, you almost like to see them just attempt to go right at them. We'll see how they choose to handle 3rd and long here.
Yeah, like you said, 2nd and short now. You have to get just inside the 6-yard line for a fresh set of downs. They've got the ball at the 14-yard line. 3rd down, and just a little bit more than 8 to go. A falter. 3 receivers to the near side. A flag comes in. We see zeros on the play clock. That's going to be a delay of game against Avon Lake.
Delay game, number 2 of the offense, 5 yards, previous spot, repeat the down.
And Max, you can't help but think that they seem a little disjointed now.
It was after a great start to the drive. Now they have hit a snag earlier in this possession, and they were able to bounce back from it. So we'll see if the senior, Fulter, and his experience can win this drive for them and get them in a more advantageous position, either on 4th down or heading into 1st and goal.
Kowalski's a few yards behind a Falter in the backfield. He'll take the snap. They give to Kowalski, but the defense reads this right away. I mean, they were not fooled by that at all.
Kowalski on the carry for the Shoremen, brought down by 63, Michael Duckworth.
And I mean, up front, they just continue to win that battle, play after play.
You got that right, and almost wonder if maybe that was a setup play, see if they could get half of it back and then attempt to go for it if they had an easier potential 4th down conversion. But this will be interesting. Reese Polomsky, 0 of 2 on field goal attempts last week, so we'll see if that can change here tonight.
This will be about a 37-yard attempt for Polomsky. Send the snap back, hold is down. Polomsky's line drive kick has plenty of distance, and it goes through the uprights. It is good. So a 37-yard field goal from Reese Polomsky, 27-9. Shoremen trailing Benedictine with 5:40 to play here in the 2nd quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network.
Spectators sitting in the visitor stands will need to move to the home stands to enjoy tonight's display.
27-9. Benedictine leading Avon Lake. 5:40 left of the 2nd quarter. Andy Bolbarch joined alongside Max Drummond, Edwin Vereen, our director, and Sam Sovacool operating the camera. 3 points, nice for Avon Lake, Max, but at this point in the game, they need a heck of a lot more than that, as it seems like anytime they've got something going their way, either it's a penalty or they get tackled in the backfield to negate any of that momentum.
It's definitely not how they wanted to end that drive. And now, I mean, we'll see. 5:40, obviously more than enough time to get the ball back and make something happen. But you mentioned it was a long developing drive there. Not very many quick hitting plays as of late for Avon Lake, but that really hasn't changed for Benedictine. So we'll see how that chess match continues to play out here as we get closer to halftime.
Back deep to receive for the Bengals.
And that's one of the things that Coach Kostelnik mentioned to us on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. He said, all week long we've been talking about how we've got to finish some of these drives. He told me he felt like they left 28 points on the board in their win over Strongsville last week. Polomsky kicks it away. High kick, end over end. Baldwin comes up to about the 3 to retrieve it. Past the 15 he goes, makes a couple of men miss, tripped up, and finally falls to the turf around the 28.
Baldwin is brought down by 26 of the Shoremen, Sam Huffman.
Well, you heard his name right there. Huffman saved what could have been an even bigger return. Either way, though, set up close to the 30-yard line here for Benedictine, and plenty of time to do whatever they would like to on offense.
That last drive for Avon Lake, it took almost 4 minutes off the clock. And they had the ball for quite a while. It took over 5 minutes off the clock. They had the ball for quite some time. Only got 3 out of it, but they got the defense at least a little bit of a breather.
That's right.
As Chris Maloney is back into the game for Benedictine. First will grab the snap. They'll give to Maloney. Left side has some room. Stiff arms the defender and drags him with him past the 40 up to the 41. That'll be an 11-yard gain for a first down.
Jake Packer of the Shoremen.
Poor Jake Packer was taken for a ride by Maloney on that play.
But it was absolutely necessary, as if he hadn't have held on, I mean, we could be talking about another big play for Maloney. And Avon Lake trying to change it up. They brought a huge blitz up the middle there. Just Benedictine did a great job responding by running away from it. And they're just keeping the Shoremen guessing right now.
We'll call that a 12-yard pickup as the nose of the ball is resting on the 42. First down and 10 here. Jameer Church comes into the game as the tailback. Rosalina, the tight end, moves in motion. They'll give to Church. Church spins off a defender. He's able to get by another as he's finally tripped up, and he is tackled at the 49, although we do have a flag.
Brought down by Isaac Durbin of the Shoremen with a flag on the play.
And this is coming back. That's a hold against Benedictine.
Well, there was a big cluster there at the line of scrimmage. He did a great job spinning out of it, but now we know why the cluster was formed. And
Holding, offense number 8, 10 yards from the previous spot, repeat first down.
And that is called on the receiver Pomian, which means my suspicions were confirmed. He was blocking against Nathan Haven of the Shoremen, safety playing up near the line of scrimmage. So great job by him helping out in the running game.
We talked a lot early on about the battle on the other side of the ball with Avon Lake's offensive line facing the front 7 of Benedictine. Look on this side. There are high hopes for this Avon Lake defense. They are replacing a lot of guys from a year ago, but this is expected to be a pretty stout group. But right now, that offensive line for Benedictine has made a lot of room for both Church and Maloney to run. Church on the left side of first, who takes the shotgun snap. He throws this one deep down the field, has a man open, but he overshot him. That was J.J. Baldwin. He missed his intended target by a couple of yards, and the incompletion will bring up
the pass
third down.
For J.J. Baldwin. Ball's incomplete.
Check that. That'll bring up second down. It'll be second down and 20.
And great job there by Packer on the press coverage. I think that was the difference between the receiver Baldwin not being able to catch up to that pass down the sideline.
And again, they haven't taken many shots, and that's because they haven't had to. I mean, the running game has been so good for them that they really haven't called on Matthew First to have to throw the ball deep down the field.
Certainly right, and I think we spent a lot of time on the Avon Lake offensive line. You mentioned it. This offensive line for Benedictine, very large in their own right.
They'll give to Church, and this time he is dropped at the 32, corralled quickly by that Avon Lake defensive front. He just didn't have anywhere to go. And now they've got a long ways to go on third down.
Down by Huffman of the Shoremen, bringing up third down for the Bengals.
So we talked a little bit about Matthew First being comfortable in this offense. We'll see how much they trust him here in this under 4 minutes to go mark of the second quarter. If they attempt to let it loose and try to pick up this first down, or if they'll do what they can to preserve some field position.
Church remains in the game as the tailback, as they're continuing to bring some valuable seconds off the clock here. 3rd and 19 at their own 33. We've got a whistle, and Benedictine has taken their final timeout of the half. We'll take this timeout as well. 27-9. Benedictine leading Avon Lake. 3:33 to play, second quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Benedictine 27, Avon Lake 9, 3:33 to play second quarter. We invite you to stick around for our halftime show brought to you by Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Uninsured, enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. A lot to get to where we'll rate the dog and take a look at some first half stats. We'll get you the scoring recap, some scores from across the area, and much, much more. Coming out of this timeout, Benedictine with a long ways to go, 3rd and 19 at their own 33-yard line. This Avon Lake defense sure could use a big stop here.
And they seem to be anticipating the pass here. Just 3 men up on the line of scrimmage. Everybody else dropped into coverage, it would appear. Oh, now we see a change.
Almost like they heard you make that comment. They'll give this one to Church. Ran into his own lineman. He's able to roll up past the 37 to about the 38.
Church
he picked up 5. Not nearly enough, but
Owen Fatch.
He's able to pick up positive yardage, and that'll bring up 4th down, but that will also take a few more ticks off this second quarter clock.
So great job by Avon Lake there adjusting to an audible, or at least Benedictine looking over to the sideline made it appear they were changing plays. And I think the formation adjustment really confused the Bengals on that one.
With Luke Stewie back deep to receive.
Luke Stewie just inside his own 30-yard line, getting set to receive this punt from Bryce Meaton. High snap sent back to him. He'll get this one away. A low kick and a fair catch is made right around the 34.
Stewie makes
so
a fair catch
Luke
for
Stewie
Shoremen.
wisely deciding to call for that fair catch. And you could tell that's not what he wanted to do, but he got about 4 or 5 white jerseys coming right at him.
And certainly great job handling the pressure there by both sides of that play. The punter handling the snap very well, as I'm sure the Benedictine sideline fans all held their breath for a moment as it came out a little bit high, a little bit wobbly, and then Stewie on the other end maintaining this good field position. If he would have let that bounce, there's no telling where that could have ended up.
That's the first punt of the night for Benedictine. So out comes this Avon Lake offense in a 27-9 hole with 2:42 to play, second quarter of action. Owen Fatch is the new quarterback. He'll keep it himself, takes it left side, gets a big block, undercut and falls forward to the 40-yard line. So Owen Fatch, who's the second quarterback of the depth chart, also the starting tight end and linebacker,
Jones Jr. of the Bengals.
gets 7 yards on first down. Now they're stressing tempo. They'll get back to the line quickly. Fatch calling for the shotgun snap, and he will have Benedict a few yards behind him. Resetting things up front offensively, 2:10 to go second quarter. Fatch grabs the snap, and they'll hand this one up the middle to Benedict. Breaks a tackle. Ooh. He gets free past the 50. He's to the 45-yard line, inside the 40, and tackled along the hash at the Benedictine 37.
For a first down, Shoremen.
And they'll try and get back to the line quickly. Max, you mentioned this earlier. We figured they might mix it up a little bit. They've gone with the huddle. They've gone with some no huddle and some hurry up so far.
And some substitutions right now, so I guess keeping that side of the ball fresh here. But great change of pace here from this offense when you probably would expect the passing and a falter to be leading the way on that. But Benedict, great job kind of flying under the radar there and then just shooting out of the hole like a cannon.
So a quarterback change here. Bit of a surprise with Owen Fatch taking the snaps. He'll take the snap again. They give to Benedict. Big hole up the middle, dragged down from behind as he makes his way up to about the 31-yard line. Tackled by Yamil Riello. And it looks like he's a little slow to get up. They're able to pick up about 6 or 7. And Max, that's something that they weren't doing earlier in this game.
You're exactly right. And on what was a start of around 6 carries for 6 yards for Benedict earlier on, his last 4 carries have gone for 35, and 3 carries on this drive have been very effective. And now they're already back in field goal range, but clearly they want to do a lot more than that heading towards halftime.
They're tending to the injured young man down at the 31, Yamil Riello. Coach Joe Preves going out there to take a look as well with members of that training staff. This gives us a chance to remind you that You should tune into the Friday night recap each and every week, brought to you by Network Land Title Agency, safeguarding your investment and ensuring peace of mind. That's Network Land Title Agency. Just inside of 90 seconds away from getting into our halftime show, brought to you by Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Again, we'll get you as many scores as we possibly can from all the area teams, and if you don't hear it on the halftime show, tune in to Dave Granczynski and company. During the post-game show, they'll update you on all the scores across the area. They'll talk to some of the players and coaches from winning teams tonight. They'll even have members of our broadcast crews. As always, we've got the county blanketed tonight. Don Vincent, John Guzik have the call for you over at Elyria Catholic. The new digs at EC with Mayfield in town.
Man, I'm jealous. They get to see it first. We're not going to be there for another few weeks out at Elyria Catholic.
Yeah, they'll keep the seat warm for us. They always do over there. And unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of time to get the injured young man off the field. He can't put any pressure on that right leg, it looks like. And for Avon Lake, it'll be a 2nd and 4 situation at the 31 of Benedictine. And Owen Fatch remains the quarterback here, and this time he'll let Benedict off his left hip. 4 receivers to work with. Man in motion, it's Stewart. They'll give to Stewart. Tries to turn the corner left side. Gets past the 30, but he's knocked out of bounds. And that was John Jones who shoved him out near the 28.
17 of the Bengals, John Jones Jr.
A good job by John Jones of staying home there to knock him out and keep that to just a gain of 2.
Got that right. And using the sideline as an extra defender worked beautifully against the speedy Stewart on that one.
He went out to stop the clock with 1 minute and 8 seconds to go in the second. Avon Lake trailing Benedictine 27-9. 3rd and 2 coming up here at the 29-yard line. Fatch has been the signal caller this entire drive. He'll send Stewie in motion. They'll give to Benedict. He charges forward, and he'll go down close to the 27. That's about where he had to get for a first down. This is going to be close. They're going to have to bring the chain gang out here.
Benedict is on the carry, brought down by 4 of your Bengals.
Right now, it looks like they're indicating that he's short, but this looks close enough for a measurement.
And even with it from the far side of the field, if it's that close, they gotta go through with it here and check.
And our head referee, Mark Lyrick, is trying to give it the old naked eye observation, but I think you're right. He wants that chain gang to come check this out and see just how close they are.
Well, it certainly gives Avon Lake some time to come up with a decision, no matter what the outcome is right now they just, with Fatch back there, they haven't been comfortable enough to let him throw the football yet. Kind of imagine that might not change even if they get the first down. So with just 1 minute left, they do have a couple timeouts, so that's working in their favor, but interesting to see what they'll draw up here with some extra time.
Sam Sovacool's all over it. Our cameraman focusing in on that football so you at home can see this. And based on what we see as they try and iron things out down there, he is inches away from a first down. I mean, you'd like to think that they could get this, but at the same time, that front 7 is a unit that we've discussed a lot for Benedictine. They've been so good all night long. Even getting a couple of inches can't be considered a gimme at this point.
No, not easy, and especially because Benedictine just swapped out
the previous
3.
Play brings up 4th and inches for your Avon Lake Shoremen.
3 defensive backs just came out of the game, and we may see them stack this defensive box a little bit more than they have. And yeah, they're already ready. They're in their stances.
4th down in inches. Fatch at the line of scrimmage. It'll be a quarterback sneak. Looked like he lost the ball, then he got it back. It's tough to tell where exactly he went down. He lost it, then he picked it up, and then he plunged forward. This is too close to call.
Man. We'll see if Fatch even recovered it, as if he was able to keep possession at the bottom of that pile.
Where he's coming out of the pile, It looks like maybe he's got it, but that's very, very close. They haven't officially put this down yet, which is why, and now they say it's a first down.
Batch recovers the fumble for a Shoremen first down.
So now we'll see if the Bengals have enough time to substitute as they have that heavy package out there. Avon Lake still has a lot of receivers in the formation.
Bodies shifting and moving about. 76 for Benedictine running off the field. They had to give them enough time to substitute. That was Matthew Wilson, who was making his way toward that far sideline. Again, when you make a substitution, you have to allow the other side an ample amount of time to respond to that.
And on this one, I almost wonder if Benedictine wanted that spot measured, maybe, and that would give them time to substitute as we're still.
Coach Prevesk agrees with you, and that's why he's over there talking to the officials. And who knows? Maybe he was doing that to buy some time to get a couple of defenders into the game as well.
Very well could be.
Some gamesmanship, right? And now Coach Kostelnik is talking to one of the officials on the near side, and we have a flag thrown. Oh, boy, this could be a really big one. Where that was thrown, I can't imagine it's on anybody but the head coach, Joe Prevesk. You know, he could be arguing the spot or the measurement, although I think he probably has a bigger issue with the spot, no?
Certainly, I got to agree there. And even with that, you have Avon Lake in a position where they're not a downfield passing threat at the moment, and giving them any further yardage with 55 seconds left, I mean, that's only going to make things easier for them.
Well, and this is a huge moment in the game. Because if Avon Lake scores, they get some momentum and they get the kickoff to start the second half. But the end zone has been a very difficult place to reach for the Shoremen tonight. And that's because this defense for the Bengals has just been incredibly good.
On sportsmanlike conduct on Cleveland Benedictine's coach, and then we have another dead ball on sportsmanlike conduct on another assistant coach.
Wow. You could hear it from our head referee, Mark Larrick. Those are two enormous penalties on that Benedictine coaching staff.
So they go all the way from the 27 up to around the 6-7 yard line. Just such a huge swing here in this ball game.
Result of the play puts the Shoremen at first and goal with 7 yards to go.
So it'll be Owen Thatch to take the snap again. He'll grab it. He'll give to Benedict. Benedict wrapped up, and he's taken to the turf immediately. A host of different Benedictine Bengals there to get him. The nose tackle, Tito Wilson, was in on the stop.
Benedict,
timeout, Avon Lake.
And Avon Lake will take a timeout. They've got one left. We'll keep it here with 42 seconds and change left in this second quarter. Max, you brought up an interesting point earlier. There's not a whole lot of room to operate with that passing game. Right? So you're in a scenario now where the field becomes so much shorter.
And they have all those great athletes, and we've seen them try to get them involved, whether with Wildcat out of the full house pistol or with some of those jet sweeps, and it just hasn't been working. So now you take your starting quarterback out of that equation, at least for the moment, and we're going to have to see what they have up their sleeve here. I know it's early in the season. You don't want to give away too much on the play calling side, but you got to do what you got to do to get back into this ball game and make it much closer.
Well, and you have to make them pay for that penalty. You get two gifts like that, you've got to cash in.
That's right.
I know a couple of guys on this coaching staff, and I'm sure they were doing the best they could to get Coach Prevesk not to say anything. I can tell you he probably wasn't saying, golly gee willikers, Mr. Official, I disagree with that call or that spot. Second down and goal at the 7 yard line. Three receivers to the right. Stewart lined up near side left. Benedict the lone setback. Thatch calling for the snap. He gets it. Drops back. Looking. Now he's being pressured. He's got to get rid of it. Dumps it down the field. It's intercepted at the 2 yard line. Jameer Church with an enormous pick at the 2. Dragged his feet inbounds and makes an acrobatic pick to turn the tides yet again.
Jameer Church.
And I mean, that's the trouble you can run into when you have your backup quarterback in the game, and obviously a very tricky spot, very stressful spot to make your first pass attempt, and great job there applying pressure by that Benedict defensive front.
Coach Kostelnik having a discussion with Owen Fatchnow on the near sideline. And that's a result you just have a tough time swallowing if you're Avon Lake. Where he was close to being corralled, you're better off just taking the sack at that point with one more timeout left. You could try and figure something out on third and then fourth down, but that's a real tough pill for Avon Lake to swallow, and yet another gigantic test passed by this Benedictine defense.
Now we'll see if they can get out of their own end zone here.
First up under center. They'll run a sneak, and he'll fall down at the 3-yard line. He picks up a couple of yards, and that should be just enough breathing room. Avon Lake can take one more timeout if they would like.
Quarterback for the Bengals, Matthew First.
And Coach Kostelnik looking on. It really doesn't look like he wants to burn one here. And the way this first half has gone, who could blame him? I mean, I think at this point you just kind of go into the locker room, regroup, and try and figure something else out as the final 5 seconds will come off the clock and bring this first half to a close. 27-9. Benedictine leads Avon Lake as we get ready for halftime. We'll step aside and take a timeout. When we come back, we will launch right in to our halftime show, brought to you by Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Uninsured, enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Scores from across the area, stats, and our scoring recap, plus much more coming your way in just a few moments on the Lorain County Sports Network. We welcome you into our halftime show brought to you by the fine folks at Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. Uninsured, enrolled today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Andy Bullbarch joined alongside Max Drummond. We've got Edwin Vereen, the captain of the ship, and Sam Sovacool working the cameras. Well, this score is a little bit of a surprise to many. 27-9, Benedictine leading Avon Lake at the half. We've got stats to pass your way, scores from across the area, a scoring recap, and a lot more to catch up on over the next 15 minutes. Let's begin with the scoring recap. Why Benedictine set the tone early on. The very first play from scrimmage was a 75-yard dash to pay dirt by Chris Maloney, making it 7-0 in favor of Benedictine. Avon Lake would capitalize just a few plays later, though. They capped a 5-play, 84-yard drive and a 1-yard touchdown rush by Alex Afalter, but it did not take Benedictine long to respond. The very next play from scrimmage, an 80-yard touchdown strike from Matthew First to J.J. Baldwin to make it 13-6. The two teams would exchange fumbles. Jack O'Toole forced a fumble, and Avon Lake was able to hop on it, but just a few plays later, Benedictine returned the favor. Joey Pomnian forced a fumble. Jameer Church recovered it inside the Avon Lake 20-yard line, and then 2 plays later, Chris Maloney struck again. This time an 80-yard touchdown rush to make it 20-6. They forced Avon Lake to punt. They took over and then put a nice, long, methodical drive together, 8 plays, 60 yards, and the end result, the 1-yard touchdown plunge by Jameer Church. Avon Lake settled for 3 on the very next drive, a 37-yard field goal by Reese Polomsky, making it 27-9, and it looked like the Shoremen were going to score again. They were in prime position at the very end of the first half. Back-to-back unsportsmanlike conduct penalties called against the Benedictine coaching staff, and that set Avon Lake up first and goal inside the 8-yard line. However, Jameer Church, who's been all over the place tonight, came away with an acrobatic interception at the 1-yard line, picking off Owen Fatch, and that brought us to the end of the first half. So your score at the break, 27-9, Benedictine has the lead. We'll take another timeout here on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. When we come back, I will hand the baton off to my tag team partner, Max Drummond. He'll have the stats for you, brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers, and Max will give you those numbers after this on the Lorain County Sports Network.
Welcome back into our halftime show here on the Lorain County Sports Network, where currently we have Avon Lake trailing Benedictine 27-9 as we wrapped up 2 quarters of play, and we honestly have stats for a full game being on display from Benedictine. So let's run through them and see how we got to this point stats-wise, as the running game has been very dominant for the Bengals this evening. You heard Bull mention a few big runs on display.
Please help me welcome to the field the
by
2024
one
Avon Lake High
Chris
School
Maloney,
Shoremen.
as he had 5 carries in that first half for 172 yards and those 2 scores. So he's got a great average going on right now. And then his teammate, Jameer Church, 8 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. And then we move on down to the receiving, where they haven't had to do a whole lot of that. But Matthew First has a couple of big plays through the air. One going to Jace Baldwin of the Bengals, the senior, with 1 catch for 80 yards and then for a touchdown. Then also Jonathan Spikes with a 20-yard reception, which is giving Benedictine 320 total yards of offense there in that first half. And then looking over on the Avon Lake side, where it's been a little bit more of a struggle, and they played majority of that second quarter without their starting quarterback, Alex Afalter. So we'll start in the air because that's where they've had a little bit more success, as running back Anthony Benedict caught a pass, took it 79 yards, and set them up with a first and goal in the first quarter. And then also through the air, 3 catches for Aiden Stewart for 33 yards, but for him that's very modest, as he went for nearly 200 last week, so a long way to go to get there. And then also Luke Stewie, 2 catches for 20 yards, almost had a big play that it did result in a pass interference. And then the bane of this Avon Lake offense has been their rushing attack. As a team, just averaging 2.4 yards a carry. Benedict having the most success of all their runners, 12 touches, 43 yards on the ground. And then Afalter ran in their lone touchdown. But they have gotten a little bit of light from Alex Kowalski, who had 3 carries for 18 yards there in that second quarter mostly. And we'll see if they try to keep establishing that, as Owen Fatch, he contributed a little bit as well with 8 yards on the ground, and if he is going to be the main quarterback for the remainder of the game, there's probably going to be a lot more rushing out of him. So a fantastic first half there from Benedictine. A lot of big plays and a few from both sides as well. And I believe with the Alan Januzzi CPA stats of the game, because it's all about the numbers with CPA Alan Januzzi, we've got those for you. And now I think we're ready to rate the dog with Brian Victor of Howard Hanna. Brian says enjoy the game and also enjoy the hot dogs, and I think we have. Bull, what are you looking at for this hot dog from the Avon Lake concession stand?
You know, I put it right up there with what we had last week at Midview. I think you guys, because I was the new guy in town, you thought 8 was kind of high, but I'll tell you what, this is a solid 8, I think, right up there with Avon Lake, man. With Midview. This is a solid 8, no doubt about that. If I have to go decimals, maybe I'll go 7.9 and put it right on par with what we gave Midview last week.
It certainly is. There's a lot of flavor in this hot dog. I know that's what stood out to me when I first had it. And if you're not familiar, the man that started this whole tradition, GT, is very in-depth with his, so I learned from him. And I got to say the same. I'm right at that 80% threshold out of 100%. So I'll come in right around a 7.5 or so.
Very nice. What do you at, 7 point? Edwin says 7.5. All right. Got to shout out our man, Sam Sovacool. He's like doing 2 things at once here tonight, because he's operating the cameras. You're all seeing at home, doing a wonderful job of doing that. He was all over that very close spot on that 4th and inches play with the Fatch fumble that he picked it up. He's also like trying to draft a fantasy team at the same time, man. This is wild how he's doing all this at once. So I don't know how he's doing it, but somehow, some way, he's getting it done.
And went Rocky style with these bleachers, getting the hot dogs and bringing them up here for all of us to enjoy. I know he also mentioned he was in that 8 range with you as well. So we've been very impressed with these hot dogs from the SWC concession stand so far.
No doubt about it. All right, well, let's take another time out here on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Again, your score halfway through this one, Benedictine 27, Avon Lake 9. We'll come back with some scores across the area right after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Enjoying the sounds of the Avon Lake Marching Band here at halftime. When this game's over, they've got a fireworks extravaganza. It's cooled off a little bit here off the shores of Lake Erie here at Avon Lakes Memorial Stadium. 5.5 minutes left on this halftime clock. Benedictine 27, Avon Lake 9. Let's take a look at some other scores across the area. We'll start with the SWC. Avon leading Kent McKinley not too far south of here, 14-7. Avon with the advantage, looking to go to 2-0 on the season. But Canton McKinley, a very tough opponent. That's a team vastly improved from a season ago. Amherst deadlocked at 14 with Buckeye. North Olmsted at Midview had no score at our last update. North Ridgeville, big things expected of Coach Morgan and company this year. They put one on last week, and they're putting on a show again this week on top of Valley Forge, 35-0. Olmsted Falls leading Brunswick 10-3, and Nordonia and Berea Mid-Park are tied at 14 apiece. Taking a look now at the LC8, Clearview on top of Lakewood 22-6. That was a double overtime thriller last year. Clearview looking for some payback, and right now they're in the driver's seat 22-6. Black River tied at 6 with Northwestern. Keystone in a dogfight against Cloverleaf 7-6. The Wildcats on top in that one. Huron leading Brookside 20-0. A game you can see on the Lorain County Sports Network. Dave Rivera and Jared Vinecourt on the call tonight on YouTube. Fairview leading Columbia 13-0. That one nearing halftime. Wellington leads Mapleton 9-0. And another game that you can hear on our family of networks on WOBL. GT Gary Tollett along with Brian DeVito on the call, 21-20. Vermilion on top of Firelands. And our WDLW game tonight, Don Vincent, John Guzik are over at Elyria Catholic, 26-6. EC on top of Mayfield. And again, here at Avon Lake, it's 27-9. Benedictine on top with just over 3.5 minutes to go here at the half. Don't forget tomorrow, the Elyria-Lorraine matchup. You can hear that one on WOBL with Don Vincent and Dave Rivera. They'll play tomorrow afternoon, so make sure you lock into that one in the afternoon, and that'll officially bring an end to the second week of this high school football season. Let's step aside and take one more timeout here on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance Halftime Show. We'll come back with much more after this. Again, your score halfway through this one, Benedictine 27, Avon Lake 9 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Final seconds of halftime here at Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium. Avon Lake will receive the kickoff to begin the second half, but they're down 27-9 in this one. He's Max Drummond, I'm Andy Bulbarch, Edwin Vereen, our director, Sam Sovacool on the cameras. And, you know, Max, a lot of times you could tell a lot from body language, and I think that last drive told us a whole lot about that first half and how it went. And you could see the difference in energy. Benedictine coming out there, fired up, ready to rock and roll. We just saw Avon Lake come out of their locker room at the half, trying to change their fortunes in this one, as little to nothing has gone their way.
Exactly right. And, I mean, the way that half ended, it just was, like you alluded to, it was just kind of a sign of how things went. And that was with knowing you get the ball to come out in the second half. So we'll see if that coaching staff and head coach Kostelnik was able to re-energize this group, as we know they have the talent. That's not the question. They've got the guys and they've got the depth to do so. That depth will be tested here, but still with the ball to open the second half, they are very much in this ball game, especially at home. I think if they can get this crowd and this very large student section back into the game, it will go a long way in helping them. Well, and you got the impression that that interception was such a backbreaker, because even if you had gotten 3 out of that, then you're looking at 27-12. It's effectively a 2-score game at that point, and everything is different. A 2-score game, certainly not insurmountable. Look, neither is a 3-score game at this point, but you're going to have to do a lot of things differently. They did force one big turnover earlier, but they gave the ball right back a few plays later. So we have to revisit some of these keys to the game as we get set for the second half. Keys to the game brought to you by the Mars Board of Lorain County, the Mental Health and Recovery Services of Lorain County. Be there for someone struggling with addiction and mental illness. That's the Mars Board of Lorain County. Max, let's revisit some of those keys.
Absolutely. As they change a little bit for Avon Lake, we do see Alex Falter. He didn't have his helmet at the end of the half, and now no shoulder pads. So it looks like it will be Owen Thatch, a fellow senior, to finish out this game. And that means, I think, something is going to have to come from somewhere other than the offense, whether it's on special teams. The defense, one of those great athletes, has to step up and make an impact play, possibly even score from one of those other 2 phases. And if you're Benedictine, that running game has been so effective. That's honestly, I'm sure, all they want to be able to do is keep bleeding that clock and just continuing to wear down an Avon Lake defense that really hasn't had much success stopping them. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out between the 2.
And it's interesting you say that, because in catching up with Coach Prevesk earlier this week, he said, look, with 11 games under his belt, Matthew First is getting to that point now where we're a little bit more comfortable opening up the offense and giving him a chance to make some plays. And he said, look, we expect that to have to happen at some point here tonight. We're going to put the ball in his hands and have to take some shots. They haven't had to do that, because that running game has just been so good. And as you mentioned, it's just so hard to see them going any other direction right now, because even when they're running a simple run play right at the teeth of that Avon Lake defensive front, more often than not, they're getting some positive chunks of yardage as a result.
That's right, and even a couple home runs there in that first half. And it's just so advantageous for them having 2 backs that have been able to do it, because either way, one of them is going to have some fresh legs, and it's just been so effective so far. And I can only imagine we're just in week 2, so they're definitely looking to continue showcasing their skills, but the Benedictine defense going to have to give them the ball back first to do that.
They take on a St. Francis team from the Buffalo area next week, and for Avon Lake, things do not get any easier next week as they take on Chardon, a Division III powerhouse, year in and year out. Well, they've got the troops on the field, and we are ready to go here in the second half of action. Bryce Meaton tee it up at the 40-yard line. Aiden Stewart is back deep to receive.
To start the third quarter, we've got
Owen Thatch took the snaps for Avon Lake at the end of that second quarter. We expect to see that again here, as Max alluded to earlier. High kick end over end. Stewart comes up to about the 13 to retrieve it. He's up to the 20, makes a move to the sideline, undercut, and he goes down right around the 28.
So now that they've had more than a few minutes to discuss it and come up with a new game plan, we'll see how much they choose to open up this play calling in this scheme here for Thatch. As obviously a senior, he's seen plenty of playing time. He
gets a lot of action on the defensive side of the ball, but just quarterback, it's a whole different ball game, and you throw in the fact that you're trailing, it just adds a little bit more pressure to it.
Opening snap of the half brought to you by Janasco Insurance. The protection you need, the service you deserve, that's Janasco Insurance. Speaking of Janasco's, Maria Janasco, big part of that post-game show. Make sure you dial into that on WOBL and WDLW. When we wrap up here, we'll send you over to Dave Grenshinsky and company. Dave, Maria, Paul Williams, all back at the Radio Ranch. Owen Fetch will take the snaps again here to start this third quarter. Benedict behind him and a 4-receiver look. He drops back. They set up a screen, but the pass falls short of Benedict, incomplete. And right in the face of Owen Fetch. Owen Fetch was Sean O'Connell who blew that play up.
Yeah, I mean, you can say his aggressiveness was he was tricked there by the screen, but it did not matter as he was able to almost get home anyway. And even if that was complete, I mean, shocker, Jameer Church was in the vicinity of the receiving option. So very interesting. They did go with the straight drop back, tried to change the pace a little bit here, and we'll see how often they do that.
Tried to set up that screen, but again, the pressure really took something off of that. And now I don't know if we have an issue with the ball. Looks like they wanted to make a switch. They do that. That leads me to believe maybe they didn't switch the ball after the kickoff. And now one of the officials going to the far side to explain this scenario to that Benedictine sideline, but it looks like all is well. Or not. As our referee, Mark Lyrick, looks to that far side to make sure everything's cool. I guess it is. And we'll get back at it here. Second down and 10 at the 27 for Avon Lake. I'll hand it off to Benedict. Works his way to the middle of that defensive front and finds his way up to the 31 for a gain of 4.
And with all the size the Avon Lake offensive line has, Benedict standing at just 5'8", ideally would fit behind them and make it a lot harder for these linebackers to see and get a hold of him. But either way, they've been able to halt him and usually have somebody meet him at that second level.
Third down and 6 at their own 31-yard line. Benedictine showing pressure. Fatch will drop back. Throws across the middle. The pass is intercepted by James Yane. Yane takes it left side past the 20. He's to the 10. He gets hit by Fatch and he goes down on the far side. Did he make his way in? Yes, he did. Touchdown.
Fatch's pass is intercepted.
Ends up being about a 40-yard pick six for James Yane. He takes it to the house to make it 33-9 Bengals.
And that's just a player trying to make a play at the quarterback position who is still kind of being thrown into the fire here and just throwing it late over the middle. It's a very dangerous thing to do, and right there, he learned that the hard way.
And Max, you talked about those keys, how Avon Lake was going to have to do something outside of their offense, and 3 plays into this third quarter, it's Benedictine who comes through with a big turnover and a score. Extra point from Meaton is on the way, and it is good. 34-9, Benedictine on top of Avon Lake. 11:06 to play third quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. About a 40-yard pick six for James Yane on the third play of Avon Lake's drive here at the start of the second half, and it's 34-6. Benedictine leading Avon Lake, and a score that has got to be considered a bit of a shocker all across the greater Cleveland area, Max.
Yeah, I mean, this will clearly send a sign, and we're
going to see Benedictine again here on the Lorain County Sports Network family, as they'll play Elyria Catholic later in the year. So they are certainly making a first impression on us.
Yeah, and look, not that we didn't think that Benedictine would be in this game to the very end. We didn't expect a blowout like this. I mean, they are just hitting on all cylinders right now. They've forced 3 ginormous turnovers. The pick 6, an obvious one, but you have to take a look at the others. When they forced a fumble inside the red zone, when Avon Lake looked like they were destined to drive down the field and tie the game, and then at the very end of the first half, Avon Lake was inside the 8-yard line. Looked like they were going to score again. Then Jameer Church with a terrific interception. Meaton will kick this one away. Stewart retrieves it right around the 10, takes it past the 20. He's up to the 25 to the 30, and he's wrestled to the turf near the 32-yard line.
Stewart is brought down by 23 for the Bengals, Marius Smiler.
And as difficult as it may be to kind of take things slow here, you got to just start this drive with some positive gains, positive carries, and just kind of get your feet settled here in this second half. I mean, they just need to see something positive happen here for the Shoremen offense.
And in this game, you have to win a little battle here and a little battle there. And it just doesn't seem like they've won many of those battles here tonight. Benedictine has come up with one big play after another. Fatch will grab the snap, immediately rolls out to his right. Throws this one down the field into coverage. It's nearly intercepted by Joey Pomnian.
And right there, Luke Stewie playing the role of the defender, helping break that one up.
Is broken up by 8 of the Bengals, Joey Pomnian.
And now we have an injured Shoreman down on the field. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was Stewie. He just led him a little bit too far, and as you mentioned, sometimes that forces you to become the defender on that play. And Avon Lake fortunate that that wasn't another pick 6.
Go ahead and get out
clearly, Max, they're in a spot here where they're asking a young man to put the ball in the air quite a bit in a scenario where it doesn't seem like they're too comfortable doing that. And they're going to have to figure out a way to change the fortunes. So there's still plenty of time left. We've had 1 minute and 5 seconds come off this third quarter clock. That's it.
Yes, and I mean, it's an offense that their whole week of preparation, their whole offseason, if you really think about it, I mean, it based around being able to move the ball down the field and get the ball in the hands of these very athletic playmakers. I mean, nearly 230 yards passing last week. It's very tough to condition yourself out of that.
Coach Kostelnik mentioned to me earlier in the week that you schedule games like this against a team like Benedictine with the history that they've got. This is a storied football program, and they got Chardon next week. We talked about that also. He said we schedule games like this because we've got to be ready by the time conference play rolls around. And in a couple of weeks here, they'll get going in SWC action. And if you have to take some lumps along the way to get ready for it, so be it. But this is more than just taking a lump.
Well, and I think the relatively new playoff format does encourage a bit more of that, and they haven't backed away from those challenges. And we'll see. It certainly is a measuring stick before entering conference play, and we all know what comes down the barrel at the end of every season for these Shoremen.
You got it. Fatch wants the snap. He gets it. They give to Benedict. Benedict turns it up the field. He's able to scoot past the 35. He makes his way up to the 36. And you're right, sometimes fairly or unfairly, you make the call. But whether it's Avon or Avon Lake, a lot of times you get judged by what you do in that particular game, right?
Mm-hmm. Certainly so. And like you said, it's not always fair, but that usually is the end of the day what the SWC will come down to.
3rd and 7 coming up here for Avon Lake at their own 36-yard line. Fatch has 4 receivers at his disposal. Benedictine showing pressure. Fatch will drop back, throws to his left. The pass falls incomplete. That was well short of his intended target, Anthony Pippa. And Avon Lake will be forced to punt this away.
So I must say, I did like the timing on the release of that throw, but it's just one. If you're not used to lining up there, going from middle to right hash almost to the opposite outside the numbers, I mean, that's such a far throw. Maybe up here in the stands it doesn't look like it, but when you're at field level, that's got to carry a long way with a lot of power behind it.
And look, the coverage was pretty strong. as it has been for most of the night. Polomsky will get this punt away. This will take a bounce going backwards. Avon Lake will have to jump on it at the Benedictine 40-yard line.
So a component of this game I was interested in seeing is, obviously Avon Lake had a full four-quarter matchup on their hands last week when they got their win over Strongsville, but Benedictine, in their game, most of their starters and best playmakers on offense were out by halftime, and they didn't have to play a full four-quarter game. I was interested to see how that would affect them, but they're in a similar boat. Obviously, the opponent is a step up from a week ago for them, but now we'll see. This will be Matthew First's first third-quarter snap of the season.
Chris Maloney, 2 monster runs earlier tonight. He's in the backfield with First. He's off his left hip. First will hand it off to him. Maloney's got a little room up the middle before he's corralled by that Avon Lake defensive front, and they'll mark him down at the 43.
Maloney on the carry, brought down by 26 of the Shoremen, Sam Huffman.
So one of his more ineffective runs this evening is, I'm sure they'll still take a 3-yard gain on first down, but already at 175 yards on the ground, just 6 carries tonight for Maloney.
Well, he only had 8 carries last week, but because they were ahead by so much at the half, they did not need to use him in the second.
That's right.
He's been very tough to contain here tonight. First, we'll send Rosalina in motion. And now we've got whistles and somebody lined up incorrectly for Avon Lake. At least that's the indication from the official on the far side of the field. It'll be offsides on Avon Lake. That'll cost the Shoremen 5. It'll make it 2nd down and 2.
And even here in this second half, struggling to eliminate some of those mistakes that plagued them in the first half of play. We'll see how Benedictine chooses to respond here on this 2nd and short.
Can't imagine that they'll put the ball in the air unless they absolutely have to. First back up under center, Maloney in the backfield. They'll work this play clock all the way down. They'll give to Maloney. Maloney tries the middle again, inches his way up to the midfield stripe. That should be enough for a first down.
Maloney on the carry for the Bengals, brought down by a host of Shoreman defense.
Well, it looked like he picked up the first. The chain gang is indeed moving down. The yard marker said 4th down across the way, but I think they're getting ready to change that. And as simple as it sounds, Max, a 3-yard pickup, even that seems like a lot for this Avon Lake defense to overcome here. And they're just getting these little chunks of yardage. But when you're down 34-9, it's just so hard to look past that.
Yeah, the deficit, it magnifies every mistake and positive play.
First, dropping back. He's got time to throw. Throws across the middle. The pass falls incomplete. We've got 2 flags. One at the 43, the other at the 45. In the area where you normally see holding.
And even with the penalties aside, I mean, that throw very close to being intercepted. We've seen a couple of those tight window throws almost picked off by Avon Lake. Landon Lydiard almost getting his hands on that one.
So it was indeed a hold. They took a shot down the field. I'd be a little surprised to see them do that again unless they're putting a 3rd down and long situation, but because they've been so good at running the ball here tonight, I don't imagine that they'll put the ball in the air unless they really feel like it's necessary. Like I said, maybe in a 3rd and long situation.
Sure, I could only really expect it if it's something short or a quick hitter to maybe one of their running backs.
Maloney by his lonesome in the backfield. They'll pitch it left to him. He's able to get up to the 40. Escapes a defender. He's off to the races again, and he's tackled at the 45 of Avon Lake. Picks up about 15 yards.
Maloney on the carry, brought down again by 26.
And for a moment, It looked like Avon Lake maybe had him bottled him up near the 45.
I was going to say, even when it appears you have set the edge, he is just such a quick cut about him, and it happened so fast that it left a couple Shoremen behind, laying on the turf behind him. So, I mean, it turned into being behind the chains. Now they're right on schedule.
2nd and 3. They'll run this play from the left hash at the Avon Lake 43-yard line. Handoff goes to Maloney, spins off of one set of defenders, works his way toward the near side, off to the races again past the 30, to the 25. He's escorted out of bounds near the 10-yard line, but a flag laying at the 28. That's close to the area where he sprung loose.
Maloney again on the carry, taken out of bounds by 5 for the Shoreman, Nathan Haven with another flag on the play.
Well, there was a receiver in the area. It looked like he had a handful of jersey.
Not in those ones. You understand they're trying to do their best to help out their tailback, be a great teammate. Just you never know which way the running back's going to cut, and it leads to a tough block there for the receiver.
This will march them back to the 38. So it'll still be a first down pickup, but that'll cost them 10 yards from the spot of the foul. But here again, this Benedictine rushing attack, just going right at Avon Lake, and the Shoremen just do not have an answer for it.
They do not, and it's to the tune of now 198 yards. So that penalty, keeping him under the 200-yard mark, we'll see. And, well, he won't be in the play on this one to get it, but I'm sure he'll have another chance.
Play after play. They just continue to win that battle up front. Rosalina, the tight end, moves in motion. And they'll give to Church. Church bottled up, and he's dropped by Jazavius Korn. Korn stops him dead in his tracks at the 39-yard line.
By Jazavius Korn.
Now, Korn's a name that I thought we'd call a lot more here tonight. He actually was on the field quite a bit in their win over Strongsville last week.
Yeah, great option out on the edge there as a rotation piece there for the defensive line. And he's got to have some fresh legs under him, as he, like you said, didn't get a whole lot of playing time in that first half, but certainly trying to make an impact on this game here in the third quarter.
2nd and 11. Church is the tailback lined up left side of Matthew First. First back to pass, looking to his left. He's looking down the field. Flag comes flying in. He's in some trouble, and he throws this away down the field, incomplete. Well, there's probably a hold. I'm guessing that's what that flag is. There's two of them laying between the 40 and 45-yard lines. For a moment there, Max, looked like he had Joey Pomnian down the field. But sometimes when you extend the play as a quarterback, you leave that window open for a hold.
Offense number 78, 10 yards from the previous spot, repeat 2nd down.
Gotta agree with you there. I thought Pomnian would finish, I'd say finish the route. It looked like he had an option of a wheel route down that sideline. Maybe the play called for him to sit down at the first down marker, but either way, it led to him holding the ball for first a little bit longer than he wanted.
This will push the ball almost all the way back to the 50-yard line, making it 2nd and 21. And right now the clock is stopped at 6:34. Still 30-49, Benedictine leading Avon Lake. Jameer Church remains the tailback again. Off the right hip of Matthew First. And they'll give it to Church. Church runs right up the middle, and he's twisted to the turf at the 47, so he gets just
Church
a couple.
On the carry for the Bengals, brought down by Landon Lydiard of the Shoremen.
And outside of the big run that was called back, they're doing a lot better job of filling their run gaps there within the tackles here in this third quarter. And obviously, maybe it's a little more predictable to do so, but even still, these running backs have been tough to bring down, so any win in that situation you can take.
Sets up 3rd and 19. 3-receiver formation with the tight end Rosaline on the right side of it. First will drop back again. Looking down the field for Pomdian. He makes the catch at the 35-yard line, breaks a tackle, keeps his feet moving down that far sideline, but they say he stepped out. And it looks like he went out near the 26.
Number 1
but that's enough to move the Sticks on 3rd down and 19. They somehow find a way to pick it up.
I mean, I don't know what was more impressive on that play, the throw, being able to get it under or over the underneath defenders, or the great spin after the catch. I mean, what a move. And that wasn't a guaranteed first down on that comeback route. He set up a few yards short of it, but had to make the man miss and did so beautifully.
What an effort by Benedictine here tonight. Just one big play after another. They keep the chains moving on this drive. They'll give this to Church. Church hops over the pile, leaps his way past the 25 to the 24.
Church on the carry for the Bengals again, brought down again by number 26 for your Shoremen, Sam Huffman.
Now this kind of drive we're seeing the Bengals go on here, this is more reminiscent of what they were able to do in week 1. Weren't able to hit a lot of huge plays, but burn up a lot of clock, and they're doing that right now, and it's exactly what they need.
Coming up on the 10th play of this drive. Started back at their own 40-yard line. 2nd down and 8. Rosalina is lined up as a fullback here. We'll hand it off to Maloney. Maloney tries the left side, and a number of different Shoremen will bring him down near the 20.
Maloney on the carry for the Bengals, brought down by number 5, your Shoreman.
We have another Shoreman a little bit slow to get up. I want to take this time out to say hello to some of you who are tuned in at home here tonight. We have an entire fantasy football league draft listening to us tonight, or so we've been told. Quick shout out to my man Joel Hammond, who's tuned in. Had surgery earlier this week, so he's laid up for a little while, and hopefully we're entertaining Joel for a little while.
Can you please put 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock?
4:30 is what they are calling to be put back on the clock. In a game that has, well, taken us a little while to get to this point.
Need more football? The junior varsity team will play tomorrow. Benedictine on their own.
And while we have a chance here with an official's timeout, don't forget you can catch the junior LC8 on YouTube every Saturday. My tag team partner's a big part of that. Where are you guys tomorrow?
That's right. So for week 2 of the junior LC8, we'll be getting going at 3 o'clock, and we'll be at Black River High School Stadium, as these high schools have been kind enough to open up the stadiums and the press boxes, and give the 5th and 6th graders a great opportunity to play on the big stage.
Great stuff. Make sure you dial into that tomorrow afternoon. Coming out of that official's timeout, there's still 15 seconds left of the play clock as this 3rd quarter clock continues to tick. 34-9. Benedictine leading Avon Lake. First will drop back to pass. Throws to his left, and the pass is dropped in the left corner of the end zone, incomplete. Good coverage by Jacob Packer to knock that one away from J.J. Baldwin.
The Bengals is shut down by number 11 for your Shoreman, Jacob Packer.
You really can't ask for much better location on that ball. Back shoulder, back shoulder, front pylon. Just a great job by Packer getting in the way of that.
And look, you're always looking for the little things here and there. For Avon Lake, there haven't been a ton of positives in this one, but we've called the name Jacob Packer a few times as they've tried to go his way in one-on-one coverage, and he's answered the call a few times.
He certainly has. The senior showed out in week 1 with a fumble recovery as well.
4th and 4, a whistle and a timeout called by Benedictine head coach Joe Prevesk. We'll take this timeout as well. 4:07 to play, 3rd quarter. Benedictine 34, Avon Lake 9 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming out of that timeout, 4th down. Facing the Benedictine Bengals, 4th and 4 at the Avon Lake 20-yard line. They keep the offense on the field. Maloney, the tailback, off the left tip of Matthew First. He'll take the snap, looks to his left, throws left, and the pass is dropped on the far sideline, incomplete. So they'll turn it over on downs. And the Avon Lake defense is able to hold up there, and they'll get the ball back at the 20-yard line and try and get something going on offense, something that, well, Max, they just haven't been able to do all night.
Yeah, it's been a tricky one here, especially in this late second quarter, second half now without Alex Affolter. And it's maybe time to dial up something that's deep in your bag of tricks. And they know, the good thing for Avon Lake staff is they know the strengths of their senior now at quarterback. It's going to be Owen Fatch.
That drive took nearly 6 minutes off the clock. They'll hand it off to Benedict. Trying to turn the corner left side, stretches the play to the sideline, gets a big block as he makes his way to the 30, steps out of bounds near the 32, picks up about 12 yards on that carry. And look, while they turn the ball over on downs, Benedictine ran 12 plays on a drive that started at their own 40-yard line. And again, they took 6 valuable minutes off the clock.
And of course, you want to end every drive with points of some kind, but right there, I'm sure the Benedictine coach is very pleased with how that went, and just keeping that Avon Lake offense off the field, not allowing them time to get a rhythm.
Fatch will take the snap. He lost the ball. It's on the turf, and it's picked up by Tristan Wilson of Benedictine. And this Bengal defense gets another turnover.
I mean, talk about the athleticism. He almost tried to pick that up and take it to the house himself. Wow.
Number 10 for your Shoremen, Owen Fatch.
That's the second turnover that they have forced this half. And that's the 4th that they have created in this game here tonight.
Those option reads, they're hard enough when you have your regular guys in there that work together all of camp and now into the early portion of the season. And now you're asking Owen Fatch and guys like Anthony Benedict to be able to pick that up on the fly here in a matter of minutes.
Matthew First and company back out onto the field after turning it over on downs just a couple of plays ago. He's in some trouble initially, looks to his left, throws left, has a man open, but he threw it behind him. It falls incomplete. Well, he had Chris Maloney out there, but that pass was just a little bit behind him, and the incompletion sets up 2nd down and 10. Well, the timing was also thrown out there, to be fair, but that pressure right at the middle by Avon Lake.
Yeah, Jacob Packer, once again we call his name, came screaming off the edge. I don't even know how in a rollout like that, a no-look rollout, he was able to avoid the incoming Packer, but if he just was able to set his feet and get a little more strength behind that, that could have been easily another touchdown pass.
Maloney in the backfield, they'll pitch it left to him. Avon Lake trying to close on it. Maloney trying to turn the corner. Landon Lydiard will take him down at the 24, maybe the 23, so he'll get just a couple on that.
Taken out of bounds by Landon Lydiard of your Shoremen.
Well, 3rd down coming up here, and unless they really feel like getting Bryce Meat in some, you can't call it practice, but a little extra action here to see what his range is. I can't imagine that they would trot the field goal unit onto the field unless they deemed it absolutely necessary to get him another opportunity in game. You'd like to think this is 4-down territory.
Sure, he did hit a field goal last week. They missed a couple PATs, but field goal game does seem rock solid after week 1.
They'll give to Maloney again. This time he's corralled and he's dropped. Looked like Caleb Smith was one of the first ones in there.
For your Shoremen, Caleb Smith.
Yeah, well, this isn't the performance that Avon Lake wanted here tonight. You know, this is still a unit, I think, that the coaching staff is really excited about. You look at that defensive front 4. There are a lot of names, I think, that we'll be calling later on in the year. Plenty of room for improvement after this one, but this will still be a pretty stout bunch that we'll be talking about deeper into the season.
You're absolutely right. I mean, 6 straight playoff appearances coming into this season, so it's definitely not foreign to them, especially after last season experiencing some struggles.
First is in trouble, facing some pressure, throws this one down the field, and the pass is caught at the 12-yard line. And that'll be enough to move the sticks again. J.J. Baldwin made that catch in traffic. And a nice pass by Matthew First with a couple of defenders in his face. Still completed that. And another first down.
I mean, Charles Cook for Avon Lake was draped all over him there. It's still somehow he got enough power behind that to move the chains. One impressive play.
Well, they have controlled the time of possession in this third quarter, and I'm sure that's just the way they drew it up. We talked about that last drive. They had it nearly 6 minutes, forced a turnover just a few moments ago. And there's a good chance they could milk the rest of this third quarter clock. They'll give to Jameer Church. He tries the left side, works his way up to about the 10, maybe the 9-yard line.
Church on the carry for the Bengals, brought down by Landon Lydiard of the Shoremen.
And after that carry on the evening, I mean, Benedictine's offense up to 258 on the ground, and that's also at over 10 yards a carry.
And a lot of it goes back to those two ginormous runs in the first half by Chris Maloney. He had an 80-yarder, a 75-yarder, really setting the tone for the action here tonight. They'll give to Church. Church spins off a defender. He works his way up to about the 6-yard line before he's brought down after a pickup of just about 5.
Church on the carry for the Bengals.
That'll bring up third down,
number 5 for the Shoremen,
and they will have to run at least one more play here before expiring this third quarter clock. But now we've got some whistles, and we have an injured player down on the field. We'll step aside and take a quick timeout as well. 34-9, Benedictine leads Avon Lake. 37 seconds left in the third quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming out of the injury timeout, it's third down and 3 for Benedictine. They have it at the Avon Lake 6-yard line. They lead this one 34-9. They have never trailed in this game. They've been in the driver's seat ever since that very first play from scrimmage. They'll send a man in motion right. It's Joey Pomney. And first, back to pass, throws to the back of the end zone. The pass is caught for a touchdown. He got it into the waiting arms of Jonathan Spikes. It's an 8-yard touchdown pass.
Finds Jonathan Spikes in the end zone for a Bengals touchdown.
And the Bengals had their second passing touchdown of the night, and now we have some laundry back at the 21-yard line.
Well, that motion did a great job of fooling the Avon Lake defense. Wonder if that'll play into the penalty here, if formation.
Unsportsmanlike. 2 of them going against Benedictine.
So, and that's something, obviously, we touched on it a little bit in the pregame and in the coach's corner about how this Benedictine team is coming along. They're progressing, and with that comes keeping your heads, keeping your cool in situations like this, and that'll come with time this season as they continue to have more success.
After the score, we have a dead ball on sportsmanlike conduct on number 73, and then we have another dead ball on sportsmanlike conduct on number 10. Both of them penalties will be enforced on the kickoff.
Well, you heard it from Mark Lyrick, our head referee. Both penalties will be enforced on the kickoff. Well, they were ready to go on the extra point, and then the officials blew their whistles. I think they were waiting for Mr. Lyrick to get back into position. And, of course, 31-point deficit. Running clock is in order. Bryce Meaton was ready to kick the extra point, but with the running clock in order, the third quarter has come to an end. I'm not sure who saw this coming. A running clock as we enter the fourth quarter of play. Benedictine 40, Avon Lake 9 on the Lorain County Sports Network. At the end of 3:49, Benedictine leads Avon Lake. Extra point was blocked just a few moments ago, and because of the back-to-back unsportsmanlike conduct penalties against Benedictine shortly after that 8-yard touchdown pass from Matthew First to Jonathan Spikes, this ball will be kicked off deep inside the Benedictine side of the field. So Avon Lake should end up with decent field position here, Max.
That's right, and we know they've got playmakers out there in a couple of facets. Obviously, we haven't seen Aiden Stewart be able to take advantage of anything yet, but with most likely catching it further, closer to midfield, gives him a much better opportunity.
Just incredible how this game has turned out here tonight. A one-sided affair, and again, Benedictine early on in this game with that 75-yard touchdown rush from Chris Maloney. Avon Lake answered 5 plays later in a 1-yard touchdown rush from Alex Afalter. But then the very next play from scrimmage, an 80-yard touchdown pass from First to J.J. Baldwin. They had a 13-6 lead at that point. And then after a big turnover was forced by Avon Lake, looked like they were poised to tie the game up. But 3 plays into that next drive, Joey Pomnian forced a fumble. Jameer Church recovered it. And it really has been all Benedictine ever since. This kick is squibbed down the left side. It's taken up to about the 38 of Benedictine, so Avon Lake should have decent field position here.
Mitchell Streeter on the reception for the Shoremen, brought down by Luke Carlton of the Bengals.
So the sophomore takes advantage of the ball coming his way, and now this is definitely the best position they've been in all night.
We see some different personnel on the field here. So with this running clock situation, you are going to see some numbers play in this game that maybe we didn't anticipate. Fetch grabs the snap, takes it straight up the middle. He's got some room, gets it past the 30, and he's twisted down to the 25, so he picks up about 12 yards.
A very effective play there, just putting his head down and getting what the defense gave him. And as for Benedictine, we still see a pretty good chunk of starters out there on that defensive side of the ball, so they're looking to close out this game strong and continue getting them snaps.
They've allowed just a touchdown and a field goal here tonight. Fatch will take the snap. They'll hand it off to Kowalski. Kowalski has a whole left side. He's able to work his way up inside the 10 before going down at the 9. Well, not the biggest guy, Kowalski, at 5'9", 172, but there, Max, you see the change of direction and some explosiveness as well.
Yeah, he's had a few nice carries this evening, as in the late second quarter, early third, he was one of the few guys able to find some openings there for that offense.
AvonLakeSports.com for last-minute sports schedules, updates, and tickets, along with the link
to another injured player down for Benedictine.
Thank you again for your support.
But there have been some hefty collisions here tonight. Don't forget, when we wrap this up, we'll have the Ernie's Auto Body collision of the game. The top auto body shop at Avon, that's Ernie's Auto Body. I mean, there are going to be a lot of options for us to choose from at the end of this one, Max. There have been a lot of big hits here tonight.
Certainly have, and it shows how well-rounded of a team that Benedictine has. They have just so many different options on offense, and then a lot of different players, similar to what we saw with Midview last week, just as a collective effort, and then obviously a few standout plays here and there. But overall here in this game, it's just been 11 guys going to work as a unit.
We've also got our drive of the game, brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington and Huron. And I mean, usually you're looking at a long sustained drive, but
another big shout out to
there have only been a couple of those. I feel like our drives of the game tonight will be the ones that were short-lived, albeit very successful for Benedictine.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because even ones where they were able to string it out for several minutes and in lengthier drives, they didn't necessarily end in points. They just served as a great way of burning more time off of the clock. So it definitely makes it a tricky award to give out.
Well, the drive of the game doesn't have to be long and methodical. It can be a sprint, right?
That's right. Not always a marathon. You're absolutely right.
Clock continues to tick. It's 1st and goal. They've marked the ball down at the 9-yard line. Aiden Stewart lined up in the Wildcat. He's got DeSenza with him, and they'll send Benedict in motion. It's a direct snap to Stewart. Tries to turn the corner right side. He does that. Past the 5, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Avon Lake. A 9-yard touchdown rush for Aiden Stewart. And the Shoremen have their first touchdown since the first quarter when Alex Affolter punched it in from 1 yard out. Well, and that's something I think they were looking for earlier in the game, because they went with that Wildcat at least a few drives ago when this thing was still sort of in doubt.
And Stewart, with an athlete like that, you just want to do whatever you can to get the ball in his hands, and those jet sweeps finally one breaking through for them and resulting in points.
Polomsky's extra point is good. That makes it 40-16. Benedictine leading Avon Lake. It brings a halt to the running clock with 10:01 to play in the 4th quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Avon Lake finds pay dirt for the first time since the 7:46 mark in the first quarter. This time it's a 9-yard touchdown rush on a direct snap of the Wildcat to Aiden Stewart, who found the end zone 2 times last week in the win against Strongsville. This is a totally different story here tonight, though, as Benedictine has had all the fun at the expense of Avon Lake, leading 40-16 in the Shoremen home opener.
Got that right, and of course, tough pill to swallow, but right there, that score giving the Avon Lake marching band and student section, giving a little pep to their step here and getting a little bit going, and now we'll see if they choose to go with a onside kick, try to get the ball back, or if they'll put it in the hands of a Benedictine return man.
At 40-16. You know, I really wish I could tell you which way I thought they were going to go here. I mean, Benedictine's got 10 of their 11 lined up here close to that 50-yard line. So they're certainly expecting an onside kick. They've just got one man deep inside the 15-yard. Polomsky will run right forward. And it's a pop-up kick that'll land past the 30. It's on the turf at the 25-yard line where it's picked up quickly. And wisely sliding to the turf for Benedictine was Joseph Morse. You never really want to be the guy that tries to pick that ball up and do something with it, right?
I was going to say heads-up play because obviously he's running towards that with his back turned to the Avon Lake Shoremen running at him. So he doesn't know how close they actually are. So great job there just getting a hold of it and limiting it to just that.
That was Antoine Smith. My apologies. So a great play by Antoine Smith, nonetheless, to pick that ball up, running after it with his back to the Shoreman defense or return team.
Now it looks like we will get a few reserves in. Giovanni Iacampo at quarterback, most notably.
Rosalina will go in motion. And they'll give it to Church again, and this time he's bottled up at the 26-yard line. He picks up just a couple of yards on first down. You mentioned the new quarterback, Giovanni Iacampo. Iacampo, just a sophomore, 5'8", buck 45.
And he was able to get quite a bit of workload running the offense last week, so that is something, obviously, as we've seen tonight, can play a big impact, big role on a team if they are without. So good to see him get a few chances here.
Well, now they bring First back in.
Very interesting.
First to put a man in motion. Now we've got whistles, and a timeout has been called by Benedictine. Timeouts throughout the night. Brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. Securing and organizing real estate documents. That's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. I want to thank some of our other sponsors as well. Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub, the official barbecue of Lorain County Friday Night Lights. That's Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub, smoking good barbecue. I've ordered from Jones Bones a couple of times.
I as well. I got
good
say,
stuff.
The loaded fries, they're probably among my favorite option on the menu.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Terrific burn ends. Love me some Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub. Throughout the season, we invite you to stay tuned to the Golden Helmet Award Watch, brought to you by Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford. Shop ElyriaFord.com, ElyriaFord.com. That's Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford. 9:12 left in this game, fourth quarter, 40-16. Avon Lake trailing Benedictine. Handoff goes to Church again, and this time a host of Shoremen will drop him at the 25-yard line. That'll be a loss. So many maroon jerseys converge on that tackle.
69 for your Shoreman,
and look, I mean, Max, that's what it takes to bring him down.
That's right. He is quite literally a bowling ball back there, and once he picks up enough steam, we've seen tonight, even off of a spin move, no less, like he still has all that momentum working with him. I mean, just an incredible runner back there.
Stay tuned to the post-game show. Brought to you by I-90 Nissan in Sheffield Village. In Sheffield Village, because the deals are so good. Dave Krenczynski and company. standing by back at the Radio Ranch. Avon Lake showing some pressure. Tight end goes in motion. First, throws, right side, caught by Pomney and out in the flat, takes it up the field, and he's tackled along the numbers. He gets up to about the 38.
A nice safe throw that time, right at the line of scrimmage, and relying on Pomney to use his legs to get the first down. Almost did, but Avon Lake defense rallies just enough to force the punt team to come out here for the Bengals.
4th down and 2. This is just the second punt for Bryce Meekton here tonight. Luke Stewie inside his own 40-yard line, ready to retrieve this one.
Meekton will punt for the Bengals with Stewie of the Shoremen back deep to receive.
And now we've got a whistle. Flag comes flying in. Delay of game penalty coming up on Benedictine.
Dead ball, delay of game. Offense number 31, 5 yards.
Wow, what a final from one of our stream games tonight. Fairview, a 20-14 winner over Columbia. Dave Rivera, Jared Viancourt had the call on that one on the Lorain County Sports Network. That's certainly another shocker in the area for sure.
Those non-conference games all over the place, proving to be quite tricky.
It's a line drive kick that'll bounce and go out of bounds. It looked like a short kick at first because it didn't have a whole lot of air under it. But I think in that situation, Max, even though this game has certainly been decided at this point, they don't want to give Stewie any chance to set off some fireworks. Seriously, they were doing the best they could to make sure he didn't have a chance to return that.
That's right. We know of his big play ability. He's shown it a lot last season and a little bit before, as he's a great talent. So they're going to make him do it the hard way here and go at least half the field.
It's been the Owen Fatch show ever since that final drive of the first half. We have not seen Alex Affolter since. They'll bring a man in motion. It's Benedict. It's a keeper by Fatch. Fatch takes it left side, try to barrel his way past the defender. J.J. Baldwin was able to slow him down just enough, and they'll take him out of bounds on the far side at the 46.
Fatch on the carry for the Shoremen, taken out of bounds by a host of Bengals defenders.
Lowering the shoulder there on the safety, Baldwin. Fatch, you got to remember, still a tight-ended linebacker in there at his heart, so not going to be easy to bring him down whatsoever.
Well, and Baldwin is giving up a little bit in size there, so you give him credit for holding up the way he did to slow him down and limit him to just a gain of 6.
Sure.
The way that developed, Max, it sure looked like that was going for a whole lot more.
Yeah, it seemed as if the sideline was wide open, he could have still been running down it.
Pressure coming. Fatch will take the snap, room to run up the middle. He gets up to the 50-yard line, and it'll take a couple of Benny defenders to stop him at the 48, and that's enough for a first down.
To a Shoreman first down.
That one there gets him over 30 yards on the night now, as their team rushing yards are stacking up here in this second half, as they're approaching 130, so a little bit better than what they did in that first half.
Inside of 6.5 minutes to play. Avon Lake with the ball. 1st and 10 at the 48 of Benedictine. Direct snap goes to Aiden Stewart. He tries to shift the field and go the opposite direction, and he is escorted out of bounds at the 49. He'll lose a yard.
Aiden Stewart at quarterback for the Shoremen, taken out of bounds by 8 of the Bengals. Joey Pomnian.
And those cutbacks, they've been somewhat effective, especially on this drive, but going back to the short side of the field, it just limits his chances there, and we see that him losing 1.
And look, the silver lining here for Avon Lake, as you mentioned, it's a non-conference game, right? You've got a couple of weeks to get ready before the SWC gets going. Like we mentioned earlier, though, it doesn't get any easier. Next week, you've got Chardon. That'll be a real tough test for the Shoremen next week. Handoff goes up the middle, and that's Alex Kowalski, who makes his way up to the 45.
Kowalski on the carry for the Shoremen, brought down by 9 from the Bengals, Tyrell O'Neal.
Tyrell O'Neal was the guy credited with that stop, and boy, that's a guy that's awfully hard to miss. It's 6'3", 275, and Max, he's just a junior.
That's right, bright future ahead still, and he was able to get a sack last week, and even going down earlier tonight in the game with an injury has bounced back effectively.
In motion, coming right, it's Benedict. He'll get the handoff, takes it past the 35-yard line, and he's knocked out of bounds on the near sideline by J.J. Baldwin.
Benedict on the carry.
He made his way up to the
outfield
25.
Shoremen first down before being brought out of bounds by J.J. Baldwin.
And here, not knowing what the situation is with Alex Afalter, you've got to find out what you can do with Owen Fatch as your signal caller, not knowing how much longer you're going to have to deal with this situation, but they're showing the ability to run the ball a little bit here in this fourth quarter. Fatch will take the snap, runs it up the middle. He is stopped by Wilson at about the 24. A nice open field tackle made by Tristan Wilson as he tried to change directions on him.
21, Tristan Wilson of the Bengals.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that stood out to me the most tonight is the effectiveness of these linebackers and their how aggressive they are in stopping the run and really having that attitude about them, because a lot of them very undersized bunch. You wouldn't look at them on paper and think they could go toe-to-toe with an offensive line like this, but they've held their own out there.
Well, they've definitely done that tonight. Benedict in motion. They'll hand it off to him. He is slowed down in the backfield, and he gets up to about the 23-yard line. He had to make a couple of cuts just to get close to the line of scrimmage there. Once again, the front seven of Benedictine all over that play. And while it was J.J. Baldwin, the safety, who came up to make the tackle on that, there were so many members of that front seven that slowed him down and forced him to change directions before he was finally tackled at the 23.
Yeah, I mean, that low center of gravity really helped him out there and making a few men miss. And now, just like last week, he's reached 17 carries. So he's been pretty consistent. Obviously, they want that average up a little bit more as he's at 17 for 83. But he's been consistent to start this season.
Fatch on the keeper is tackled right along the left hash at about the 18-yard line. Tito Wilson was there to stop him.
Keeps it before being brought down by Tito Wilson and Jonathan Spikes of the Bengals.
Well, you mentioned that on our family of networks, we'll see Benedictine again. And going to be really interesting to see how this program continues to grow. Keep in mind, they were winless 2 years ago. Then Coach Prevesk took over last year. They won 4 games, and they almost pulled off a big upset over Hudson in the playoffs.
Yeah, that one turned some heads for sure, and it gave them a lot of momentum heading into the offseason, where in the coach's corner, presented by Buckeye Community Bank, he talked about how there was a lot of hard work that went into putting on display what you're seeing tonight.
Fatch tackled by Tristan Wilson again after he got up to about the 15-yard line.
Down by 21, Tristan Wilson,
and it looks like he might be a little bit short, and they'll turn it over on downs. So Benny will take over on downs with 2:33 to play in this one.
As a reminder, in order to start tonight's post-game fireworks show, we need the south side of the field completely cleared. All visiting fans and players can enjoy the display from the
Bengals will take over. And you don't really imagine that there will be a whole lot of guesswork here. They could effectively just run the last 2.5 minutes off the clock here.
And now it does appear, after a little bit unclear earlier who would be in at quarterback, we do have the backup sophomore in the game now for the Bengals.
Giovanni Iacampo, who took a snap before. Looks like he's going to get a chance to do it again, but we have a timeout called by Benedictine. We mentioned Dave Grenchinsky and company will have you locked into our post-game show, brought to you by I-90 Nissan in Sheffield Village, because the deals are so good. When we're done here, we'll wrap things up quickly with our stats of the game, a scoring recap. We have the Valley Chevrolet drive of the game, We've got the big play of the game, the collision of the game, and we also have to give out our player of the game as well, brought to you by Zabo Apparel Company. Be game day ready all year long with Zabo Apparel Company. Iacampo is back under center with 2.5 minutes to play in this one. This would be a handoff given straight up the middle to Owen Slemps. A sophomore getting some action here. Slemps, 5'8", buck 65.
Iacampo Bengals is complete to Slemps. Brought down by Caleb Smith of the Shoremen, bringing up 2nd and 10 Bengals.
They call it no gain on that play. And that'll set up 2nd down at 10. Carmelo Jones is the tailback, but Iacampo will keep this one himself, and I'm not quite sure he was expecting that snap. He kind of got pushed backwards on that play.
On the play, recovered by 15, Giovanni Iacampo.
Yeah, and it's always interesting, the end of games like this, because most of the starting linemen are out there. You obviously want to keep these guys protected, as Avon Lake still has many of their starting linemen out there. But that just leads to getting that timing down of the snap, and it's a never right away thing.
3rd and 12 coming up. Buck 15 to play. Carmelo Jones remains the tailback. Iacampo takes the snap. They'll give to Jones, and he is met immediately and dropped. A number of different Shoremen take him down at the 12-yard line.
On the carry for the Bengals, brought down by 45.
And with
Connor Hughes
inside of a minute to play, there's about 23 seconds difference between the game clock and the play clock. So they'll have to punt this away. And that should give Avon Lake the ball back to run perhaps just one final play and put this thing away. Sam Ferrone standing back at his own 46-yard line to retrieve the punt. Bryce Meaton is standing in his own end zone.
And we've seen him have to handle a few tricky snaps.
Dead ball. Delay game. Offense
A
number
delay
31,
game against
5 yards.
Benedictine. Kind of to be expected, taking as much time as they possibly can off the clock.
To start tonight's post-game fireworks show, we will need the south side of the field completely evacuated. All visiting fans and players can enjoy the display from the home stands.
And now Meaton is even deeper in his own end zone. The very back of the letters in the end zone to try and get this punt away. Snap is somewhat low. He gets it off. It's a short kick. Bounces at the 29-yard line, goes straight up into the air, and it'll be down near the 35. 9 seconds left in this one. Not a good night for the Shoremen, and on the other end of the spectrum, a sensational game for Benedictine.
Definitely a lot to learn from this one, and a couple adjustments to make is, so obviously we're not certain of who will be the signal caller next week, but definitely gives them a lot to prepare for heading into their next matchup with Chardon.
And that'll be a real tall order, no doubt about that. They are routinely in the state Final Four, Division III. Had a chance to call a few of their playoff games last year. Aiden Stewart will take the snap and take a knee, and that'll put this one away. Benedictine pulls off a bit of a shocker here tonight. A 40-16 winner over the Avon Lake Shoremen. We will step aside and take a timeout and then launch right into our I-90 Nissan and Sheffield Village post-game show right after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome into the I-90 Nissan at Sheffield Village postgame show. I-90 Nissan at Sheffield Village, because the deals are so good. Final score tonight here at Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium. The Shoremen fall in their home opener to the Benedictine Bengals, 40-16. Andy Bolbarch joined alongside Max Drummond. The captain of our ship is Edwin Vereen, Sam Sovacool on the camera. And sometimes the score doesn't always tell the story, but it certainly does here tonight, Max, as Benedictine took control from the very first play from scrimmage, which was a 75-yard touchdown rush for Chris Maloney. They took the lead, and they never looked back.
You got that right. I mean, just such a dominant effort. And these were two teams that we really saw evenly matched, and we thought a couple things could break this open, but not to this extent.
No, I mean, this ended up being a blowout, and there were a couple of chances for Avon Lake to make things very interesting towards the end of that first half. But anytime it seemed like the door was open, Max, Benedictine would come through with a monster play. You can't help but be overwhelmingly impressed with this defense and just how great they were here tonight.
That's right. As a unit, really stepped up, and they did so, you could argue, outgunned in that box by that offensive line, but they clearly did not believe that. They knew going in that they had some advantages to work with, and they also, I think they really confused this Avon Lake offense, and then you lose a starting quarterback, and that just doubles that down a bit.
Yeah, and look, they were hitting on all cylinders. It wasn't just that front seven, which was just as good as advertised tonight for Benedictine, but look, anytime it looked like, whether it was Alex Afalter or if it was Owen Fatch, anytime it looked like they had some time to throw, the DBs were terrific for Benedictine because there just was never a window for them to throw through or throw to, especially in that second half where Avon Lake just could not get out of their own way. We mentioned the penalties were a big part of that anytime they had something going, but the turnovers were the biggest part of this story because, again, anytime it looked like Avon Lake had something going, they turn it over. This Benedictine defense forced 4 turnovers here tonight. The first of those, a fumble that was forced inside the red zone, and that really kind of changed the complexion of this game, as did the second turnover when it looked like Avon Lake was destined to score at the very end of the half, back-to-back unsportsmanlike conduct penalties against the Benedictine coaching staff, and it didn't matter because Jameer Church came through with an interception at the 1-yard line on a drive where it looked like Avon Lake was at least going to get 3. And, Max, you kind of felt like the game really changed right there.
Yeah, that was a huge difference-making play by Jameer Church. And we saw him make a few of those throughout the evening, but maybe none bigger than that, as it really just changed not only the immediate scoreboard, but then the strategy coming out of halftime, and it just was something that the Shoremen could not overcome.
27-9 was the score at the half, and it didn't take long for the Benedictine Bengals to get on the board in the second half. As a matter of fact, just 3 plays in, James Yane, a 40-yard interception return for a touchdown, made it 34-9. Avon Lake would then punt it away, and then it was a long drive that didn't result in points, but 12 plays and just over 6 minutes came off the clock. Benedictine would turn it over on downs, then they would force another fumble, and just a few plays later, Jonathan Spikes caught an 8-yard touchdown pass from Matthew First to make it 40-9 in this one. Avon Lake would score on their next drive on a 9-yard touchdown rush to make it 40-16. That was our final count in this one. Time now to take a look at our stats, brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers with Al Januzzi CPA. Let's take a look at those stats for tonight's game.
Well, it's all about the rushing performance that was put on display by Benedictine tonight. As a team, 260 yards on the ground, good for over 8.5 a play. And most notably, Chris Maloney, 11 carries, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You also have Jameer Church there for 64 yards and a touchdown. And then in the receiving game, there was a big play from J.J. Baldwin, 2 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. And you mentioned Spikes. He got a touchdown, 2 catches for 26 yards to go with it. Then over on the Avon Lake side, the rushing game, it got better as the game went on. They got just over 4 yards a carry, but still as a group, 160 yards on almost 40 carries. So, Benedict did what he could there in that second half, individually 17 for 83. And then through the air, those receivers just held in check, as their leading receiver was the running back Benedict. The tandem of Stewart and Stewie combined 5 catches, 53 yards, so a lot less than what they had last week. And Afalter, while he was in the game, 6 for 12, 132, and then he had the touchdown as well. on the ground. So just you take away a bit from this, but for Avon Lake's side, losing the quarterback really altered what those stats became in the second half, certainly so.
No doubt about that. Well, the big brothers, big sisters, big play of the game kind of coincides with our Valley Chevrolet drive of the game. One and the same. It was over in a flash, a 75-yard touchdown rush for Chris Maloney, the very first play from scrimmage. That set the tone here tonight. As we referenced a few minutes ago, while Avon Lake had chances later on in the game and they turned the ball over 4 times, it was that first play, again, that set the tone for the rest of the events here this evening. Our big play of the game brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lorain County. Be a big, get a big. And the big play of the game, as we mentioned, coincides with our drive of the game brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington and Huron. We mentioned sometimes the best drives aren't the longest ones. There were 2 very quick ones at the beginning of this game for Benedictine. They took that 7-0 lead after Maloney's 75-yard dash to pay dirt, and they never looked back. Time now to pass out our player of the game. It's brought to you by Zabo Apparel Company. Be game day ready all year long. And Max, I think it was safe to say that Chris Maloney was game day ready here tonight.
He was more than ready, and it was from the very first snap on offense. 11 carries, 200 yards, 18 yards a touch, and 2 touchdowns. So he's up to 3 total touchdowns on the season now, and he's likely going to keep building on this here in his senior season.
They are going to send these fireworks off here in about 7.5 minutes. That's our cue to sign off here tonight. Want to make sure you all stay tuned to the post-game show. Dave Grunjinski, Paul Williams, Maria Janasco, they're back at the Radio Ranch ready to update you on more than just the final scores. Make sure you tune in on WOBL and WDLW. They've got you going until at least 11 o'clock tonight, so make sure you tune in. They'll talk to some of the players and coaches from the game-winning teams tonight. They'll give you all the scores and much, much more, so make sure you dial in for that one. Next week, we come your way just a bit south of here at Avon High School as we bring you the Avon Eagles and the Glenville Tarblooders. That should be a really fun one to call next week. We'll see you all there next Friday night. Max, any final thoughts from you before we say thanks and say goodbye?
And a very great game there in the first half, and just a strong display put on by Benedictine, and definitely looking forward to that showdown next week.
Congratulations to the Benedictine Bengals. They go to 2-0 on the year. Avon Lake falls to 1-1 with the loss. We're out of time here at Avon Lake's Memorial Stadium. Again, your final score, Benedictine 40, Avon Lake 16. Plenty of people to thank before we get out of here tonight. First and foremost, a big thanks to all of you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. We appreciate you making us a part of your Friday evening festivities. A big thanks to the entire staff up here at Avon Lake. Boy, a top-notch operation up here. We were greeted the second we got in here. All kinds of goodies for us. So we certainly appreciate the Avon Lake Athletic Department hosting us here tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll be back here once or twice throughout the course of the season as well. My thanks to the entire broadcast team. El Capitan, Edwin Vereen, our director, getting us on and keeping us on. Sam Sovakul, who somehow managed to draft a fantasy football team and also film this game here tonight. So nice job out of you, Sam. And a big thanks to my tag team partner, Max Drummond, for his colorful analysis throughout the night. Make sure you catch Max tomorrow for the Junior LC8 in the afternoon on the Lorain County Sports Network. For Max Drummond, Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovakul, this is Andy Bullbarch saying thanks again for tuning in tonight. We'll catch you all next Friday in Avon. Have a wonderful night, everyone.